All right. Well, this is
Poopy,
easily
stinky
going to be
man.
the worst thing we've ever done. I can tell you that with a lot of
I
certainty.
don't, I don't actually. What are we here for? What's going on?
There's even that part of it. Hold on, I'm just trying to figure out how I can show myself because I need to show them the thing.
The grommet
Oh,
mug.
well,
You need
okay,
to.
I'm visible right now. Hello, everyone. Hello. No, don't say that. You're not supposed to say that. So,
Okay.
as is now customary, we start these off with a taste test. Unfortunately, I'm not really positioned to be able to do that. But what I do have in the stead of a taste test is this.
I think does Tom come? Tom's in the other group, right?
Grommet
Oh
mug.
yeah. Grommet mug.
We're in the.
Mute yourself, James. Yeah.
Oh,
We've got some
God,
special
Jesus Christ,
guests.
it keeps it so fucking hot. All right, I can turn the camera off now. Let's get back to normal.
Yeah. We got some. Well, as normal as we're gonna get. We have James here, who might not be around
Oh my
forever,
God.
but he's here. And we have Todd.
This is going to
who
be
really
nothing.
needs to sort himself a profile picture, because that's not what you look like, Tom. I mean, us on the other hand, this
Tyler,
is what we all look like in real life.
The movement of your mic in like the real world.
Then tough. It's gonna be better quality. Actually, I don't know. Hey Tom, testing. How's it hanging?
Hold on, I'm gonna go swap my headset because
Not good apparently.
How is it hanging?
Hey,
It sounds phenomenal.
Are we streaming this? Or
not
videoing
streaming.
it?
It's a podcast.
It's
We are young white men, so therefore we do podcast. That's how it works.
Yeah.
It's our calling in life. That and actually, I probably shouldn't say anything.
Mug.
And grommet mug, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's the better thing to say.
James, you're quite quiet.
Yeah, I've got to be. I'm using my AirPods because I don't own another mic.
All right, guys. I apologise for the fact that you can't. Actually, no. You're welcome for James not being very audible.
Honestly, though, like I am so impressed that AirPods mic are even a thing. Because, like, surely it's like the other side of your face. Like, I'm not muting myself in the party because as long as I keep talking, the party stays on, and therefore my Xbox stays on, and therefore spoilers. Yeah, you can continue. It's not spoilers. You can continue playing Terraria while we do the fucking podcast.
Goddamn.
But,
I actually had an idea, and this isn't what this is supposed to be. I had an idea for literally a podcast where it's just a brainstorming session for a Terraria x Deep Rock collaboration.
I've seen some posts on that on the Reddit. Like people have thrown together some things. Like
I mean, I've had some.
It would be like
ideas.
What about a One Piece Deep Rock collaboration?
It would be like One Piece 12, but the Terraria one I saw was like it had all the like pillar pickaxes, like the solar flare pickaxe and stuff. They had like all of those looks into Deep Rock, and you'd be able to like swap and change all that.
Oh yeah, I did see that one. Actually, that was pretty cool. In terms of like a cosmetic set, actually, that was pretty hot.
Yeah, I think maybe they could go for more something like a pixel, like the pixel look with like the saw as the backblade kind of thing, like that. I think that could be pretty cool.
Midnight rainbow dye.
Because the pixel is one of the more unique and standout pickaxes from like Terraria. It's like that and like. Yeah, it's like the drill one, but it's like something else as well, something like that.
I think Deep Rock should have slimes. I do. I think it should. I think like cave slimes are like a thing.
I think that they should have like a mask where it's like it's like the one in Terraria, but it's just like the dwarf's head like in gelatin, right? It's like it's completely encased in like a slime, but it's like like you can see his face like in it, but it's like
be fantastic if it was more like a whole effect that you could put on any dwarf. Like it would still be your head gear underneath. It wouldn't just be a bald dwarf. It would be something else, but we don't have that yet because there's no such thing as special cosmetics in Deep Rock. That they're all just contained forced within individual categories where they don't actually quite fit. That's how we do things, I
But as far as I'm aware, that's for another time. I don't think we're going to get into the cosmetics rant today.
Cosmetic.
I think.
I mean, that's one we haven't done yet either. It's just every cosmetic we want in the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure about a podcast because we'd just be sitting there like a fedora.
It could be that. I mean, yeah, but
an actual top hat, and they're like, yeah.
Well, that's the obvious stuff. What else is obvious?
Unicorn horn.
No.
Yeah. No,
That would just
unicorn
I guess that would just happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So maybe it won't. You know?
Yeah, more fantasy-based stuff. Like the closest we've gotten is the new like Yuletide elf drip. Like that's
Well,
like
okay, maybe. I think the skull cap is like pretty clearly a reference to Gimli's helmet, but it's not meant to be an ancient dwarven helmet. It's just a very simple hard hat.
I mean, there's also
the shape of the.
There's I think we can pull a lot of things that you should just add from like the Hobbit, right? Like there should definitely be a headgear where he just has like an axe sticking out of his head.
Oh
right?
my god, I didn't even think about that. Biffer, yes, absolutely, and obviously
there should be like an impact axe.
Bomber's beard, obviously, things like that. And fucking Dane's helmet.
Yeah, but it's a
giant red feather.
Yeah, we're never going to disagree. So it's literally us just going through a list, as you could tell because we just did it, of things we would like to see. And it would help if we had like illustrations of them, like if it was a PowerPoint with like pictures of this and why it should be in Deep Rock, something like that. Like if we just put together a PowerPoint of like 50 things that should just be cosmetics and Deep Rock, something like that would be a bit more of a suitable form.
Sure, but I would still want to do that in place of a podcast, I think. Or a workshop. I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure. Just because only because I have like chronic paranoia about running out of content, which is why I made like so many fucking like workshop things, the grenade overclocks that will last for like a year, but only because I made it so we do those every other week anyway. So I'm just terrified of running out of content.
Yeah,
even though streaming's pretty good, it doesn't. I don't think it really brings people in. I mean, I did say thank you yesterday for 370 subscribers. I mean, fucking hell, we don't deserve it. It's not even a lot. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I shouldn't say that it's not a lot, but we still don't deserve it.
It's more.
It's not a lot, and we don't deserve it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, don't put yourself down like that, Harry. You put your blood, sweat, and tears. Except not really
blood,
tears.
Sweat, and tears.
Cried over the channel.
Tears.
Or bled over the channel. Or really sweat on the channel.
I sweat often when we're doing anything.
No, you, Tyler, you definitely sweat. It's okay. We know the truth.
I am not sweating right now because I block out the sun. Therefore, it doesn't touch me. Therefore, I don't sweat. Right. That's how it works. I sit in the fetal position in a black room, with the only thing I can do is make YouTube videos. And as far as anyone watching this is concerned, that's all that you would know, because you don't really know, like if anyone has lives outside of the YouTube channel. You could assume they do, but you never actually know.
I'll tell you what, I think that
they do not have a life outside of it.
I think Mr. Beast does not. Tom, Jesus Christ, your mic quality is fucking
Mr.
abysmal.
Beast, I think, is actually like confirmed.
I got a new mic, so I guess this isn't.
You got a new mic, did you? I wouldn't have been able to tell.
You are talking to it through Xbox, right? Like the same as normal. Pardon?
Oh my god!
Was.
Yeah,
Underground woman.
Found woman.
The underground woman.
Stylist.
Tyler.
No.
What are you doing? Don't entertain him. Tom, you do know we're trying to record a podcast. Oh, I can't take this.
We're trying to play Terraria.
It's no point. The fact that we've actually got a full house, which I still don't think we've had on the podcast yet.
Night vision helmet.
No, we've had it quite a few times.
Not on the
and all of them,
podcast.
Yeah. They were back when we the podcast we were like going to freeform podcasts. One of them was Tom was there, and it was actually all
Yeah,
right.
Tony,
and the other
I
one it
said
was Tom
Full
and
House.
James.
Oh,
Yeah,
it happened once.
we've
did
had
it?
Tom and James on the podcast
Yeah.
like twice. They've been here twice, although Tom often fucks off, like he kind of has now already. And then James
I
literally
get
fucks off.
tired and distracted.
He only has so much endurance.
Get
There's a reason
tired
why we never done a
and
part 2 to the One Piece video. 'Cause that hour long was enough for him.
You could do
He's
it.
done.
You could do it on Monday if you want.
Yeah,
Maybe we
could.
should. Maybe we should do
It's-
that.
it's up to Tom,
There might
but-
be. Actually, I shouldn't even say anything, should I?
No, because it would be more impulsive. I don't actually have an idea of what I want to do, but yeah, it's just because Harry is no way, shape, or form of doing a video Monday, but I feel like we kind of should, because
Because
don't
we
do
used to
videos Sunday.
stream like we used to when I'm off, we pretty much do something every day except Sunday
Yeah.
because we can just stream. But now it's like it's just so fucking
Fossil.
stressful. I actually drove
Fossil's
to
getting-
uni today. Tom,
Fossil's
shut
getting
up!
sturdy.
Tom, get sturdy, Tom.
Is the loo getting sturdy? All right. Speaking of lures, that's segue.
Lures?
What are we here for?
I mean, we
What's-
haven't done the grenade tier list yet, like properly.
We not a serious one, no. But we were going to wait until the new ones came out and then the new ones settled in, which is about now. So it's probably what we'll do after the primary stuff.
Yeah.
plus
I mean,
the
there'll be.
secondaries.
I think the way it will go, there'll probably be the next dev Q&A after the the primaries, and then the next one after the secondaries because of the way that works out, which is actually beautiful. But then I don't exactly know how we're going to do the grenades. We could probably do those I think if you take them side by side, like you could compare grenades to weapons, we should be able to do 16 grenades in one. Really,
Yeah,
with our average time.
Yeah, that's why I don't feel too bad that the only speed run we've ever done was a grenade tier list, because literally James, you were here for this, and we still managed to get it under 5 minutes. It was just incendiary grenade, and I was like B, and then James was like B, and then we put it like B, and that's it. And you were just the whole time like, what the fuck is going on? It's because the grenades, there's not that much else to say about them.
No,
because they're really not that big or that nuanced.
Exactly, there is more now, but it's not like a ridiculous amount, and we just won't have to speedrun it. I reckon we could probably go for an impressively long time, like too long, too long.
Yeah,
Pretty much
and
the
I
maximum.
think
you go too long about fucking anything. Let's be honest.
yeah, considering we're still in the intro phase of this video, that is definitely correct.
Yeah, that's because I've just completely signed off on this going anywhere because it's not going to. I mean, we could cover the main topic. But we won't get to viewer comments though, and we probably won't get to that massive fucking Reddit post that seemed pretty cool and actually got up votes and might actually be on our side.
Well, once again, right, we can do that tomorrow on the stream, right? Like that, as we're playing, we can kind of digest that.
Oh god, I guess so. Yeah.
If it's too much for you, just send it over to me and I'll read it out.
Right. Reading things out whilst fucking hell. Don't make me do that.
Yeah, so send that over to me, and we'll be doing that tomorrow. Today, what are we doing?
Oh my god! So
we've got no idea.
Well, obviously, we don't have. There's no obvious topics, and by obvious there's no news to cover, and by big topics, that are sort of handed to us, I mean something like an event review or a wish list or something, things like that. There's no obvious topic, so it's been a while, but I've actually had to come up with something. Right.
Oh my! To pull from your
basically,
list.
and it's actually kind of cool. I want to talk about things that aren't in the miner's manual that should be, specifically the bestiary. It's just a bunch of creatures that are just objectively missing.
Yeah.
And also, arguably, a lot of stuff that should just be there. We should discuss if they should add all the plants and shit like that. But I want to start with the creaturas. Subject number 1 is the Sentinel.
The mic backwards. Yeah.
That guy.
There's not even Sentinels with the Hive Guard, right? Because normally, you have the Brood Nexus, and then you have the little things with the Brood Nexus.
I mean, they
and then you have
arguably
the Core
should have...
and the things that grow with the Core.
This is why I want to get into this, because the reason why... So the Core looks a little bit different, actually, but the Brood Nexus, the reason why it'd be interesting if the they call them Glyphid Spawn, but the reason why it'd be interesting to have a bestiary entry is because they're not actually glyphids. They're like these little fucking styrofoam clones of swarmers, and it'll be like, what the fuck are these? And that's kind of why I want things to have bestiary pages, because this isn't the same as like wrapping things up in a narrative sense. This is lore that would come from research in universe. We just that's so you can get information on all the plants that R&D would just research and write it and like enter it into a document.
And plus, like because like the bestiary, I mean, the bestiary is not really the best thing ever. Really, is anyway, is it? Like, it's not quite helpful. Like, its tips are the best thing about it. Because
I don't think the bestiary is meant to be helpful. I do wish though, because it kind of presents itself as like something you're meant to like fill out. But I think people's got a good number of like enemies, to be fair. But it's like you fill that out pretty quickly. I wish there was more of an element of actually having to find creatures on there like actively, and there were just more miscellaneous sort of rare passive creatures like shinies, like shiny nippers.
Shiny would be cool, but like there's a thing that I don't know what games I'm thinking of exactly, but like, you know how like basically if you encounter, and by encounter I think kill, like an enemy once, you have the entire bestiary, right? Maybe it should be like as you kill them you learn more about them.
That's a bit like Hades. How
I think
incremental entries where you don't.
Hades not actually a bad idea, to be honest.
Yeah, Hades was the thing I had in my head. I just couldn't think of why. I know something else I think is similar to that. But yeah, basically, yeah, just like slowly. Yeah, it's probably for best. Slowly filling in like it. Like I think maybe because like obviously an issue with that would be, you know, you kind of want to know how to deal with it like almost immediately, right? Like you would want to know about robots being insta-killed by fire, that hitting them on the weak point deals like super amount of damage or some shit like that, right? The tips are really useful and I think should be there immediately.
The tips are good.
But as far
because
as
they can't
like
lie.
yeah, as far as like the well, I was gonna say made up, all of it's made up, but like as far as like actual like background of the things, they can just pull shit out of their ass for like 3 to 4 paragraphs and then slowly drip feed you those paragraphs.
It's the kind of thing they should hire me to do.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't really create stuff that much, but like going into like the background and stuff and like finding out, but you know, creating reasons as to why something does what it does really kind of just makes it better.
I want
right?
detailed lore on why gherkin shucks are the way they are, or what the fuck a void basket is.
Exactly, because it's upon like creating depth to those things, you will kind of just have a cool idea that will either you could then like apply to that to then make it better. Like imagine the void baskets, like as they're writing it, they like decide, you know what, void baskets, like it would be cool if they did this, and then they added it to the game, right? And then void baskets are like just kind of a cooler thing, which I don't think is needed because void baskets are in the Azure world, right? And they got plenty of shit going for themselves.
Oh god, I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that yet because I still want to go through like the objectively missing stuff, because like we have the bestiary, right? But we don't actually have every creature, and some of the ones that we don't have really don't make sense. I think that's where we should go. Which the ones that don't make any sense for them not to be there, which is Cursite enemies.
Cursite, the fact that Ebonite's there and Cursite isn't is wild.
Well, I think maybe part of it is that they struggled to explain it at the time, so they just didn't bother at the time. I want to come back to it, but the reason why it's probably more complicated is because there is Cursite Mactera, and they would have to explain something that can actually affect more than just glyphids.
Well,
so they have a chronic aversion to
for Ebonite. Isn't it just like Ebonite is a thing that infected these glyphids? Like, isn't it like?
You know what? I just realised I should probably actually have the Miner's Manual open. Like,
it wouldn't be the worst channel.
It would be a very, very objectively good idea. Is what it would be. But those guys are cool. They're kind of just weird, like alternate enemies, but you only ever see them in the Cursite. Like when you do that, you don't see them in the bestiary. I'm more used to the Ebonite ones because they're in the bestiary. They seem more familiar. The Cursite ones are always more obscure because they don't have an entry.
This is something they need to do though, because with Rockpox, Rockpox's enemy types are variants, yet they have their own section. Unlike Cursite, not Cursite. Cursite doesn't have anything, but Ebonite, which now, if being infected counts as its own enemy type, Ebonite should have its own section.
Well,
They shouldn't just be in amongst the thing. No, if Rockpox has its own section, Ebonite should as well.
Yes, but this isn't necessarily a difference that is like going to tear your point apart. But there is a difference in that the Rockpox is reanimating dead glyphids.
Do we even know if the Ebonite ones are even alive?
That's a good point. I guess not.
Yeah,
maybe.
like, I don't know the exact thing, but my point is that like if they interacted with that would actually be kind of good because it would make them think about Ebonite and Cursite again.
Well, here's the thing. It actually
enemy
says that Ebonite is a mind control thing as well.
Right. So they are being Ebonite is a form of parasite. Then is that a thing?
I reckon
so it's like
the fucking
controlling.
Hoxies, isn't it? Just like taking over. Like
it's
like
the
going
Gaia
into
theory.
it's like horde mode in Gears of War where you can control like the enemies. It's just Toxies going like fuck it, I'm taking over.
Yeah.
you
You
guys aren't capable.
Yeah, but then that makes a question: what's the difference between that and Cursite?
Because it's called Cursite infection.
Ebonite could be the actual Earth itself infecting the enemies. Cursite could be minerals infecting enemies, and maybe they're different things. Now, I'm jumping so far ahead, but this spark has gone into my head.
What did I just eat?
Hoxies is two different people. Because I've always been
there are two
Gaia
wolves in
theory.
your head. One is on the crack.
Hoxies has two wolves. One wolf is the Earth, and it's the hostile one. The other is minerals, and it's the bountiful one. And some shit like that. Basically, I don't know. I think I like the Gaia theory as far as potential for Hoxies is like future growth. As much as the next guy, and explaining why machine events don't have holes above them, even though they definitely would have sent them down, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I want stuff like that. Actually, see, the problem with that is that it doesn't need to be explained if there was just a hole. Because, but it's, at the same time, how do you explain the core infuser?
But even then, the hole still like steals itself at the top, which is obviously a gameplay thing, and they can't really.
Oh yeah, I did theorize that, didn't I? That's just Hoxie's healing itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
because that's stuff that's been left over
like
from
sealing,
like, a long time ago.
Sealing the wound kind of thing, like just like cauterizing it, sealing it, and then being able to like move on to something else. I don't know, but it is. I think Gaia Hoxies is such a cool theory because arguably, and this is going to sound cringy and like something else, but like Hoxies is like the fifth character in the game, right? Like, it's like the Mary is the other straw hat. Like it's
fuck off. Don't make One Piece references.
James here is fine, and Tom, but he's probably off doing something else. But yeah, it's basically
One Piece.
Yeah.
Hey, One Piece.
Yeah. Basically, it's just I don't know. Like, yeah, Gaia theory would be able to like kind of cover up a lot of not plot holes, but gameplay like. Contrivances, I think is the word there. Things that they kind of had to just do for the sake of gameplay. Like you can't have the top of the map be open, and they didn't really think about digging a giant hole for the machine events. Stuff like that.
Maybe have like some sort of like kind of like a ground earth version of scar tissue. If that makes sense.
What the fuck is he saying?
That could be like what the like the black material, because I don't know how much you've done, James, but like once you reach like the very edge, there's like a really hard to break black material. That could be like the scar or like the last ditch like tissue of Hoxies or something. Like I don't know. Yeah, that's like I don't know that it could be like the main vein force of Hoxies. Point is I like Gaia theory because the amount of things it would introduce. Plus, if you could retrospectively, which they would come to terms with and do when they interact with Ebonite and Cursite during the bestiary or whatever, they would be able to kind of slip them into that and basically be like, yeah, Ebonite and Cursite are like Hoxie's getting involved, basically. Like it's a predecessor of that.
Going to
Or something like
intervene.
that. Yeah, because I mean, I know about Cursite. I don't think Cursite needs anything else, but I am down for Ebonites being a normal type of enemy. I'm completely down for that
Well, yeah,
becoming a thing.
Cursites doesn't make particular sense in
Even
terms
though
of function.
Cursites have like Cursites, first of all, Cursites have a better variety and enemy pool than Rockpox. Gonna get that out the way. Rip that band-aid off.
Oh,
fucking
fucking hell, bro.
Victorians and Mecteras, which is far better than just Grunt Mectera and fucking Parasite. Not Grunt Mectera, fucking Praetorian. Like, yeah, Cursites are actually a more sustainable and better all-around pool of enemies than Rockpox. But so it would be better to have Cursite be an all-around enemy than Rockpox, but they're not that unique in what they do. They're just like tankier versions, really, aren't they? Cursite, and even then, for the Praetorians,
Cursite's
it's
not
probably
much
actually the opposite.
tankier. They're not really. I don't even know if they are tankier, and they're also just not as strong.
Well, the
Like,
acid spitters take a lot more damage than normal.
I feel like they're not weaker. They feel weaker than they look, though, for some reason. But they are
I
stronger
think the
than
Cursites,
definitely not weaker.
the giant Cursites are like weak points, I think, right? So I guess they now have a weak point.
No, they're not. They're
They
not.
are for
The
the Praetorian.
blue parts are the weak points, and the Antispitter doesn't actually have one of those. It's just its mouth
Right.
still. But like, see, like like the Mactera underbelly and the Praetorian ass, they're like blue. The Cursite parts are like crystals. They're not weak points.
Right.
Actually, I think Banishment used those and like recolored them to make like his. I think that was the Crystalline Caverns Praetorian. He retextured the Cursite one, and it was like so it was blue. It was like a Tesla Praetorian.
Nice,
Blue crystal
yeah.
on it coming out of its back. Just too good.
Yeah, basically the nice one, Jebs. The
Nice one, Jeb.
yeah, I don't know. I just think that like if they actually like go through all the enemies in the game and give add more depth to their backstories, that will invoke and inspire a lot more creative ideas coming out of them. Like it just would. If their brains work the same way I would, like mine does. Like just thinking about them in that regard will just spark up new ideas, and I can only assume that they
It might be a pretty
would.
fucking gargantuan task to try and explain like the glyphid evolutionary hierarchy.
Yeah, but I don't think they inherently need to do that itself.
No, they don't.
There would need to be like a paragraph describing it, a paragraph implying how it comes to be, and like maybe a paragraph of some extra bollock, like maybe a bit of hype, a bit of foreshadowing, something like that. Like the Dreadnoughts. I think it is in the Dreadnoughts. Is there already a thing saying that if they were in there for any longer, they'd become like a big issue or something, right?
I mean, that's kind of like given to us. Like they kind of mention that if if they're kind of still young, and when they're younger, they're weaker.
Yeah, like when you go into the eliminations, he's like, we need to deal with them now while we can, kind of situation.
It's actually in the Hive Guard entry. The Dreadnought Hive Guard is an interrupted progression in the Dreadnought Metamorphosis. Currently, R&D is not in agreement on what the final form would be like, but everyone agrees that this is bad enough. So, does that actually shut down theories that they have killed a queen? Even though
they don't know what a queen is, unless RNG is like the world government. And they don't, and they're like hidden, they like conceal information. I mean, that was another One Piece reference, by the way.
So that line doesn't make any sense then. I like your mother.
Yeah, well, no, I just think your mother is just another glyphid, right? That's just how I've always been seeing it.
Or / queen wasn't necessarily a dreadnought.
I've never taken that line in that regard. I've always just assumed it's because they killed every other glyphid, and that he's just assuming that he killed his mother. And that's just the thing. That's always been how I see it.
Bullshit explanation for it. That's not
bullshit. It's more bullshit to assume they killed the glyphid queen mother that has never been established in any piece of lore or any part of the game or mentioned in any way, shape, or form. Like,
I mean, it hasn't been established that any of them are mothers to the other ones.
Yeah, but the entire theory that there is a queen mother is based on one line that they're just saying aggressively in the battle of the moment and never again.
Yeah, it's also based on the fact that that's just based on what we understand biology, that's what the final form of a dreadnought would probably be, in an insectoid-like species. It's metamorphosizing. I think that's a word. It would be trying to turn into a queen. I think maybe. Either way, I assume that's what the final form would be called. If you ever saw it. I guess like probably the best name for it is actually like the Glyphid Dreadnought Matriarch, which is pretty. That's pretty.
I don't know about you.
Pretty real. That sounds official, you know.
I'm not fond that the dreadnoughts would all become queens because I feel like that devalues the queen, right?
It does.
Like
in some ways, it doesn't make sense, but I feel like
I think. But you gotta keep in mind, like I think in ants there are like tiers, right? And obviously that is what it's like for glyphids. But like
There's
like,
an ant that's literally a door, for God's sake.
yeah, that's the grunt guard. That's his job. He's the door. But like But I don't know. Maybe the dreadnoughts are just the queen's highest, strongest army, the personal force, right?
or they're actually kings. It's possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like
Which
kings.
There
Like,
could be
they're the
multiple
ones.
of.
Wait,
The queen would just consume them.
wait, did we have a goblin tinkerer yet?
Shut up.
It was down in the cave.
Yeah.
James, fuck no, James, you didn't manage to save him. Did you get him?
No, I got him. Yeah, no, I got him.
Oh, thank God.
He jumped
Okay.
to poor llama.
This is fucking ridiculous.
Doesn't matter.
We restarted playing Terraria yesterday. If you're wondering, audience, not that you're wondering what they're talking about, because I assume if you know about Deep Rock and you played Deep Rock, you definitely played Terraria.
I think that's probably fair, actually. If you're into Deep Rock, you've probably actually played.
You were within the
Terraria.
age range of where you would grow up playing Terraria. You like indie games and like just good games, so that you clearly have taste. Which and if not, we definitely recommend Terraria. like if you're waiting for that Deep Rock season to come out, and you're wondering what to play, just pull up
Just buy
Terraria.
2 monitors, play
grab the
Minecraft and Left 4 Dead simultaneously.
Grab any friends that you play Deep Rock with and get you all to play Terraria. I don't think it's that expensive. It's a bit like Deep Rock, I think. It's often
I think it's usually cheaper than Deep Rock. Isn't like Terraria's like base price like 10, like 11 quid?
Like 12 quid
Or
or
18?
something.
Like that, yeah.
I think on the phone it's like not much.
12
like, in
quid?
Play Store.
Phone is like a fiver.
Yeah. So worst case scenario, play on your phone. But if you could avoid doing that, play it on wherever you play Deep Rock on, because
Only
it's definitely
fiver.
on there.
Just try and avoid playing on the phone in general. It is shockingly bad.
That's how I played it for most of the growing up.
Wasn't that William?
I remember. I mean, we played. I know I played it on the phone a lot when we were at school, but
Yeah, because
Didn't really
God forbid
much
you'd actually like participate in the lessons and learn. And I sit on this throne using the fact that the audience doesn't know that I was just as bad, except instead of sitting on my phone, I'd go to sleep. I would sleep in every fucking lesson.
I would just sit on my phone. I would play on a laptop because I was a spat.
And Tom would get told
Yeah.
to take his coat off, and then he'd just leave.
Just up and fucking leave the class.
Every lesson.
And then I
Get kicked out for helping me.
I was the worst of the bunch.
Yeah, you studied and had good grades and went to uni like a real loser. Meanwhile, us cool kids didn't do that.
No.
But yeah, back to Deep Rock, shall we?
Well, I mean, I brought up the Glyphid like evolutionary hierarchy because of the Sentinels and how the Sentinels to me are clearly. First of all, we don't really know where they come from, but they feel like they're not big, but they're also, I think they're fixed as well. Like they're not going to change. They're like that's like their final stage, even though they're not particularly large. Because I think the point of the Sentinels is that they're basically just like royal guards, basically. And they're never gonna get bigger. But I feel like the Sentinels are a bit underserviced in the game.
Obviously, the fact that they don't have a thingy, and they also are pretty unique in that they seem like just a Praetorian, but they aren't quite, are they? They got like
They're covered in normal armor that's basically like grunt armor, like what they have, but except it's unbreakable. But it's not like tough armor, but it's like
Yes,
Can't
you can
break
shoot
it.
them anywhere, so it's already slightly different to so they're slightly like more vulnerable than a Praetorian,
Yeah.
which is that says something. That maybe it does kind of feel like their growth has been stunted in that regard.
Deliberately, almost.
Yeah, because maybe, because I think it is implied, or at least heavily assumed, that Praetorians cocoon into dreadnoughts.
They look too similar. If you take the
just-
Praetorian and a Dreadnought next side by side,
If you, and like you just added a bit of process where it's cocooning, so it's not like an egg. The dreadnought isn't laid. It turns into that via. It was something before it turned into a dreadnought, and so I think that can be incredibly assumed to the point where they might as well confirm it in the bestiary, but they
and then
haven't.
First of all, so with that in regards to the Sentinels, I would guess then that like the Sentinels are like ones that don't get to be dreadnoughts, and then that's kind of where the gender thing could come in, where the dreadnought ones are actually the females, and the ones that just turn to Sentinels and stop there would be the males. I think that would actually make sense. But then that gets me thinking, because we agree that the Praetorians are the ones that cocoon and then turn into the dreadnoughts, as in they do that as Praetorians. But an oppressor is actually the same stage as a Praetorian. It's just a mutation.
Yeah,
And then
well, I
I'd
think
ask
that's
the
the thing.
question: what if the oppressor cocooned?
Yeah, well, I feel like, because that's the thing, is that I think everyone assumes that it's then a grunt like cocoons into a Praetorian, right? That's what everyone assumes. Where I feel like that may not be the case. That I feel like is a jump where there may be a missing link in there, or there may not be actually any real connection in there. Like it might be like monkeys and people. Like it's like they've separated long ago kind of situation. But like, yeah, because I think that's, I don't actually remember. But the point is what clearly that Praetorians have to be in a state where they can mutate, right? Which doesn't inherently imply cocooning. It could also just be birth form, right? Like, as they're born. And oppressors would become oppressors, and maybe if you got a normal Praetorian, if they grow too much armor, they become an oppressor. They grow too little armor, they become a sentinel. That's how that thing
because
works.
because that's the thing.
Okay.
Praetorians and the Sentinels are actually quite similar. Like they're arguably more similar than the Praetorian to the Dreadnought, actually. Or at least, sorry, the Sentinel is more similar to a Praetorian than the Sentinel is to an oppressor, or to a Dreadnought, I should say. As in, it feels like the Praetorian could go either way, or the Sentinel came just before, or something. I mean, they're actually pretty similar size. Like Praetorians aren't like huge, actually, really. I mean, they're sort of the most common tank. I like Praetorians. They're cool guys. Would you consider though, like, frost and radioactive oppressors to be like a missing enemy?
I don't think so, because that's not really how it.
I mean,
that's
not
not
radioactive Praetorian, isn't it?
Radioactive Praetorian, yeah, but like oppressor, is giant ball
oppressor.
fuckers.
Because I don't see them that being a missing thing, because I see the point. I see the point being that the frost and radioactive ones are like adaptations, and the oppressors are just so fucking tough they don't need to have any specific adaptations.
Because that's the thing, though, is that like they're using mutations liberally, considering how common they occur, right? Like, you would not get that many oppressors if they were just a chance mutation for a Praetorian, right? You would have like 1 in a billion, because that's like mutation chance normally. And like the same with the cocooning like dreadnoughts.
No.
Like, what do you mean no?
Well, so you know how there's like different types of tigers? It's not like every single time there's a different type of tiger that was randomly mutated. They branched off and then they were successful, so they continued to reproduce.
Exactly.
So like a radioactive Praetorian was born and then...
Exactly. But I'm getting to the point that like oppressors aren't always made from Praetorians. In fact, they're probably not anymore. Oppressors make more oppressors. That's how it works.
Yes,
right.
And the radioactive and frost ones aren't mutations. they're adaptations, which doesn't that mean it like, which I think still comes from mutations at some point.
Yeah,
It's just
it mutates,
but that means
but
that
it
happened over.
sticks.
If we assume that Hoxie still operates by normal water biology, which it does not,
Shit.
these adaptations took like millions of years or something, or hundreds of thousands of years. So they've just had that long to adapt. And the oppressor is actually, I think the oppressor, the point was, is actually meant to be a fairly recent thing. Like, I know it's like, that's like them developing the game and they come up with the oppressor and add it. But they explained it as like, if it's like a new thing that came out, that just appeared. But it could just be they hadn't. That I would rather read that as Hoxie's deciding to send in the oppressors.
Start the game.
And it's had them the whole time. That's how I prefer to see it.
Tom, we can do this. This is easy.
You fucking assholes.
The thing is oh, what happened?
Well, that helps.
I see it as it's once again Gaia theory. Oh my god, Goblin Army. Okay,
Fuck.
I see it as it's kind of Hoxie's selectively boosting the speed of like evolution whenever it kind of feels like it. Like that would be able to, that's how I kind of see it, in that they'll fuck around with the
it's a good way of explaining how like obscure and like, niche some of them are. Like the fact that there's a Mactera Frost Bomber, and you don't get like other Mactera variants. You know how you get the grunts and all the grunts have like a different look in the Glacial Strata and the radioactive exclusion zone. You don't get that with the normal Macteras. You don't get a radioactive bomber. You just get a Frost Bomber for some reason. And I think Hoxie's like playing its cards like,
there should
I don't know, smart. It's like
other
explained by that.
Praetorians and shit like that.
There should be. There definitely should be. I mean, the obvious one. Everyone kind of wants like the magma one. I think.
No one wants
that.
Badass. They think they want it, but they don't.
No, they don't think they do, but they do. They don't.
Right. I'm lagging up a fucking storm, by the way.
Yeah, I lost connection.
Yeah. I was in the middle of fighting the goblins.
All right. Oh, okay. Yeah. Fucking. Hold on. There's a difference between like logical, all right. That realistically, right. To adapt or to have like adaptations, really the only ones that make sense are like magma core. There should be like fire ones that can adapt to the high temperature, and like. I don't know. Probably about it, really. That's the only one that really needs.
We didn't get caustic mire, otherwise we'd have corrosive resistant.
Yeah. But like that's the only ones that really kind of like would make sense for like a logical reason. But for a gameplay reason, there is no real harm in like just making tons of like variants, because that would just be like kind of better. You know what I mean? Like it'd just be like every biome would feel a lot more unique if they did that. And that would just be a better game.
I do think if it applied to every enemy, it would almost get a bit much. Where it's like every single, like each biome, like every enemy has something that they slightly resist or something. It would get a little bit much. I don't know. I think Praetorian's like a safe spot. Like it's actually very reasonable for it to be a thing to focus on, where they just come up with some reason why Praetorians occupy this space where they just adapt so easily for some reason. You have Praetorians for like every biome.
You could like make the argument that it's like their ass, in that it's so exposed to the environment that it like
around it.
It really like adapts to it.
Yeah, that explains why. Because that's the thing. I guess when you think about like hypothetical glyphid like biology, the Praetorian doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's like a poison like based.
There's no real reason
when it supposedly turns into a dreadnought, which is just kind of not really just explosives. It's just
it boosts fire sometimes, and it all looks fire based.
I suppose.
Red fire doesn't work on them, that kind of stuff.
Fire literally doesn't work on them. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is definitely
I'm saying like the base Praetorian feels like the fungus bogs variant, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It really does. It does feel a bit weird now. Like, I don't know. That's why one of my highest things I want them to add isn't a new type of enemy; it's new variants for what we have.
Which is why Rockbox was like something. I mean, it wasn't that exactly. The thing is, it would have been if it wasn't like if it didn't come from outer space, I guess.
Yeah, and if it didn't come from outer space and it was an infection, it would just be ebonite. So
I think that's actually what that post
parasite.
was about, though. That big post. I think it's actually about having threats come from within Hoxie's post.
Yeah.
And I think I think there's a good chance. First of all, I'd like to point out how Gaia Theory lends itself so beautifully to the next season actually bringing new threats from Hoxie's. Because it would be something that Hoxie's does in response to the Rockbox itself, because the Rockbox infects the creatures and it infects the ground itself.
Yeah, it's actually the rivals were kind of depicted in a way where at no point in time were they actually threatening Hoxie's.
I am pretty certain that the point was the rivals were meant to appear less destructive to Hoxie's than Deep Rock itself.
Yeah,
I think they were meant to be seen as a more environmentally friendly entity.
But the Rockbox is actually purely attacking Hoxie's. It is infecting the grounds. It is infecting its peoples. It is just attacking Hoxie's directly, which is obviously why we are trying to deal with it, because we don't want Hoxie's to die, right? Or become even more inhabitable. But like, it is a point that the part 2 could be Hoxie's retaliation. Or part 2 is not what it's called. It will just be Hoxie's retaliation. But as mentioned, the Rockbox it doesn't feel like a big enough threat to warrant that. In like gameplay wise, like playing in the game, it doesn't feel it. But like narratively, what they say, it seems to be like it's killing all the dwarfs. It's an overpowering threat.
Maybe I shouldn't say unfortunately, but that is why actually a biome could work in a sense, like a Rockbox biome, because then it would just have gotten so out of control. There's like an entire region, it'd be like a very basic generic region that we haven't found yet. And it's just so happened to gets completely infected, and then Hoxie's would have its own. It would essentially be like the Hollow Bow, like reversed, where like the biome by default is actually Rockbox, and sort of like the red vine like invading element is Hoxie's trying to get in there, like clean it out, and you would have like another element
about
itself.
Oh right, you're not actually saying use the red vine again, are you?
No, I'm saying, but it'll play that role. Except in this case, that would be Hoxie's trying to like heal itself by cleaning out this entirely Rockbox infected biome.
We both agree that, like, with the Hollow Bow as a concept, from now on, any biomes they make, it won't be as simple as a status effect, right? Like the Caustic Mire from now on will not just be a caustic-based biome. It will be caustic-based biome with something else, like a plot twist that makes it interesting. That's why I was down for like a caustic-based crashed ship site when we saw it, like like when season 3 was first teased. Because they are going to have to kind of incorporate 2 separate things, because that's why the Hollow Bow is so fucking sick. Is that it's this great oak tree mixed with this vibrant red thorns, and it's that combination of the two that makes it amazing, and why they preferred it over the Caustic Mire. So it probably will be if the biome was like Hoxie's versus Rockbox the biome, and then if there was a biome, like that biome is always a Rockbox infestation, right? Which I'm not sure how fond of that I am, but that will be able to then like always have that biome be Rockbox infested, and then like every cycle have like one other biome be a Rockbox infestation, right? And that will then kind of balance out people's issues with that Rockbox has taken over their biomes, basically. It then has its own, but it will still spice up the normal pool every so often. I mean, so I do think biome is the best course of action, really, other than game mode, which would be the easiest course of action, with the most benefits. But I do think a biome would be...
The reason why I came back around to biome is only because I was thinking about it in terms of the Gaia theory, which obviously we don't know if that's true or not, but the idea of Hoxie's... That's just a way of upping the ante to make it so it feels right for Hoxie's to be fighting back against it. You just have just a biome completely infected. I don't know what like Hoxie's response would look like. Yeah. I don't really know.
If they could pull off a Halo where they managed to make enemies fight each other. If they could get that to occur, that will make the game so much more interesting.
The reason why I don't know if this is a good reason to say this why this wouldn't happen, but the problem is we've had 2 factions introduced so far, both of which it would make sense for us to see them fighting the natives. Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, the robots, that became a part of the theory of them being more of actually peaceful. The bugs don't mind. But at first, it was like, I feel like the bugs should be fighting these things. And then you get to Rock, it's just like, there's no excuse now. This is ridiculous.
Well, the only excuse is that the bugs won't win.
Well,
like,
they don't know. They can't tell. They're too stupid to understand that their friends are infected.
Yeah, any grunt that goes to attack, they have no idea that they're even infected, right?
Because I don't think it's a smart option. I don't think it's someone where they know they can't win. That feels too complimentary to the Glyphids.
Yes. This biome could introduce maybe not inherently a new enemy, but like a like the Stab of Vines, that kind of thing. Biome-based attacking stuff, which will attack like the Rockbox enemies. So basically, like, the biome is very hostile, right? It's an entire biome of Rockbox.
Hold on. I love the idea of it actually being like event based, and this would play into having more infected parts. This could be how you would up the ante in the normal caves, where you have an event where there's like massive patches of the caves that are infected, and the event is like Hoxie's response, and you actually have to defend whatever it's doing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Or like I was thinking,
but then you have to kill.
what
comes out of it is actually some kind of enemy that you have to kill afterwards. Though even it could be like a defense, then like a mini boss fight.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it would be really cool for like a single like event, and like every so often you do work together with Hoxies. And it's like there's like I for this picture I'm thinking like just
a yellow. You can't do it. Like Hoxies has to do it, so you have to let it do its work basically.
Like a yellow Stabbervine is what I have in my mind basically, and that is like the event. You go up to it, like you maybe not aggravate it, but like you do something to it, like put like a pheromones down on it, and then Rockbox is attracted to it. The Stabbervines then like kill the Rockbox as you help it, or like as you kill the Rockbox, the Stabbervines may like pick up the bodies or something, some shit like that, and then that'll be
kind of
like the
fucking
event.
big worm that eats Rockbox. And when it's done, you have to kill it though, because then it like turns on you.
You can't.
Maybe then. Yeah, it would be pretty cool. But like,
it'd be something that comes in, not from necessarily above. It wouldn't come from outside, but it would like come in from like another angle. Remember, we had that idea for something. We think
I would like a ship to crash at an angle, but I think if it's a Hoxies based entity, it should come out from the ground, right? It should dig out.
But that can still be the size is the same as that.
That's like the universal like Hoxies thing. Really.
Well, they dig out the ground. That's not necessarily the floor. The ground is the walls as well. And the ceiling, I guess, if you're a Glyphid.
It just comes from just like around the place. Like it doesn't just come.
Yeah, like robots like teleport in the middle of the air, stuff like that. Which I guess Mactera also does. In all fairness,
they need to kind of address that. As in, I don't know how they would exactly, except from just having it be smart enough where it can't spawn them with you like seeing it. That's like the obvious one.
Or maybe they just like fall from this, like they crawl out of the sky like all the time and like fall down like very quickly. So like it's basically instant.
Where they
but, like,
become shrouded in smoke or something. I don't know. So you can't see them spawn. And then, if you want to think along the lines of like improving things, like bringing things up to par with other things, like Mactera Plague would have like little like actual hives that they come out of that you could.
I mean, I mentioned this again,
right?
Of
improving warnings, but that's not really in the cards at the moment. I don't think.
Yeah, no, that is an example of the stuff I want them to do way more than what they're currently doing. Is going back. It would be that. It would be making the old warnings at least, at most equal to. Do not go as far as the Rockbox infestation to rival.
I'd say it's like as far as that. That's like the cap, right? That's not necessarily the benchmark. That's not like the minimum. I don't think. I think what would the minimum be though? Really,
the minimum would be, I guess, what currently is. It's just any warning that they like enough to step up a level, which I'm sure Mactera, one. That is definitely one they probably like quite a bit. Fucking.
Do you think they should? Because obviously parasites is kind of like, So really, they should probably just change that to like the Rockbox like presence thing, like Mactera Plague style. You know,
Yeah,
where they
yeah,
just
yeah.
have
It should be light.
you just have
It should
little
just be light
groups of
rock box.
yeah,
Yeah.
they should probably just do that. They should probably,
Yeah, I literally, yeah, I've been saying
because
that.
that kind of needs to
since
exist.
I
That
launched.
needs to exist anyway. I think kind of to have like the rock box out in certain like, where it's just like the enemies with no like added stuff. You no like fucking cleaning operation, but it's just a warning that you give
Yeah.
to those enemies. But then you have like the parasites warning that is like nothing in comparison to.
It is
the phase
literally
outbreak.
nothing.
This is the
Those
perfect
parasites mean
replacement,
nothing.
and it sort of gives. Yeah, it's. I think that kind of just. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's a good
it
idea.
makes the most sense.
That's
And
objectively
it-
good idea.
Yeah, it would definitely, because parasites is a pointless warning. It doesn't really do anything for the mission. But if it was like every enemy you kill dropped like a rockpox parasite, that would be fucking strong, and that would really change things up.
I mean, I do want
And
them if they
like
are
Rockbox
continuing
enemies in
Rockbox in any
swarms.
way. I do want them to implement it like in like live infection mechanics where you actually can the fucking the worms will try and infect things and you can even stop it if you want.
Yeah,
Which
the,
is
the
that obviously
parasites
that's
don't
another
just
Halo
infect
thing.
you.
Where you
Yeah,
can, well, actually, in Halo, you kind of have to. If something starts getting infected, you do kind of have to kill it to stop it from getting infected. But that means in the context of an enemy, that stops it from being an enemy and then an enemy again. If you kill it while it's being infected.
Yeah, or if you consider the rockpox to be a more difficult, well, the rockpox grunts are more difficult than normal grunts, but I would say the rockpox Praetorians aren't actually. I would actually say are easier than normal Praetorians. So there is an argument
I think it
that
actually balances out fairly well. They're just quite different.
I think for me it comes down to I would rather get rockpox sprayed on me than poison, because I think rockpox is less of an issue than the poison.
I think that for me that definitely depends on the scenario, because the rockpox the thing is that's immobilization and damage, because obviously Frost Praetorian is not a big deal, but like the rockpox Praetorian, that's going to affect you quicker than the Frost Praetorian can freeze you, and it also damages you. That can be pretty deadly.
It doesn't do as much damage as the acid though.
No, but it can still freeze you. It can still stop you in place.
Praetorians are a lot more killable from the front with the rockpox. Like you don't have to go around the back anymore with those ones. I mean, you probably kind of might in the end.
I know,
but
that's true. And with a lot
you
of
can shoot them from the front.
Yeah, with a lot of weapons, they are very easy. But actually, obviously, with a precision weapon, you do kind of need to do every blister like one at a time, and that's not necessarily easier than just getting into a position where you can just unload on Lord Praetorian every time. I do think it balances out just based on different scenarios that you can encounter.
Maybe, but I would say that there is an argument.
I agree from the grunts though. That's the thing; they are generally harder. The rockbox grunts.
Yeah, they are harder. Which is why if you see a grunt getting turned, you want to kill it quick, because you don't really want to deal with a rockbox grunt, right? And maybe it will like insta heal it all the way to the full once it's finished transforming it. So like if you don't quite kill it, then it comes back. It also kind of implies that it just died and it's come back, like leading on that thing. But because then you'd have like a kind of debate with yourself as to whether or not you would want to kill a Praetorian while it's being infected, like
because there's a high likelihood of you failing to kill it before it gets infected, and then it will go right back up to full.
Yeah, if its health is full and you're not like exactly the king of DPS, you're likely it will just be a waste of your ammo. But second of all, you might just prefer to fight the rockbox version.
Yeah, you might,
and
there's a good chance.
I don't know,
and you could just let it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It would introduce a really cool mechanic. Integrate the rockpox even more into the world. Actually showing that they're attacking the glyphids, not just implying. Obviously,
back to
this.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
This is an actual mechanic that really isn't in the game, though. This would take quite a bit of effort on their behalf.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this would actually be pretty much like it, especially considering what we're looking at for season 4 in terms of like time being spent worked on it. Like this would be like the bulk of the content, and like making this mechanic and like reorienting the parasite warning, and then probably adding some other rockbox enemies. That would be like most of the content, plus like whatever perks or overclocks we're getting.
Which I think, another warning is like not good.
Well,
bad. If they
it would look pretty bad.
If they have to do it, repurposing that parasite to be a lighter warning is a good idea. It will benefit the game. It will. That would be a change that will benefit the game because that parasite warning, as it currently stands, is terrible and outdated.
It's the thing is, I see you talked about sort of like the phage outbreak making other ones look bad. Well, I disagree because it's so like obviously different. But the problem is, that I think the parasite one is actually the one that makes everything else look bad because the parasite one is the only one that's objectively outdated because it has a superior form. Like I mean, I hate haunted caves, but I take it as an easy example. It's the only example of it's the only haunted caves.
Yeah,
So
haunted caves keeps you moving. Low oxygen keeps you not moving.
Still haunted caves. I mean, as much as I hate it, it should still have like variety implemented, like it was always meant to. Like,
everyone's always wanted it. Yeah,
I mean, the grabber seems pretty horrible, but I actually kind of like the idea of a ghost grabber. Obviously, you could like damage it to like free your teammates, but obviously you couldn't kill it still. But that sounds horrible.
And maybe here's the thing though. Maybe if they wanted to update and innovate that warning, you could cool down a ghost busting equipment, and you could temporarily remove the ghost by.
Containing it in foam. Completely containing it in foam. So it's just stuck.
No, just like using like the vacuum mechanic and just like, and it's like literally it's like the it's straight up just fucking Ghostbusters is what I'm saying. Literally just
it gets
Ghostbusters.
Stored inside the gun for a while until it like breaks out.
Well, it's in the gun and it's like durability is like going down as it's in the gun.
Well, actually, see that's another thing. So this is why the Miner's Manual is so important because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that hasn't covered just because like it doesn't come across immediately obvious how they would implement it, like something like the turret controller, right? Because that's not an entity. So where would you put that? But I still think everything should have like some explanation for it.
Well, there should be an event page.
What they know about it. Yeah, an event page. But why is it? But there should be a page on the unknown horror. Like we've seen it. Even if it's not like a very detailed entry, it should still be there.
That's the issue.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think obviously it has its own warning one, but maybe.
But I don't know. I think that's the thing. You could just implement more detailed pages for the warning instead of just being like a little slab. You could click on it; it would actually open a page that explains the warning. It's like there's this fucking ghost detonator. We don't know what it is.
Most warnings, and including that, really only needs that much explanation because warnings were only ever that simple. Which is why they then had to.
What I was getting at though is that the presence of a ghost isn't very simple. I kind of want an explanation for that, and that even possibly be expanded upon. That's the thing.
Yeah, which once again, tying it back, if they did that in the bestiary, they would then be thinking about it, right?
Yeah,
they would then be
like
coming up with ideas.
Threat that also, but still feels very unnatural. Because like, what the fuck? Why are there ghosts? Like what? Like that's just based on like, what we have already with the detonator one. Why is that a thing? That's fucking weird.
Yeah, the fuck. It's just a ghost. Like, sure, we have fantasy and sci-fi, but like ghosts. Like, I mean, I guess ghosts are part of fantasy, which is arguably one of the few actual fantasy-based enemies in the game. Really, isn't it? Like, a ghost.
It is a ghost.
Yeah.
I don't. So obviously, I don't know what it says about it. I mean, what does it? It say something right? About haunted cave. I mean, it just says slow but invulnerable, deadly creature being detected in this area. It doesn't really talk about how it's clearly like ethereal. It's like not entirely physical. It's like, because you can, it's not invisible. You can see it, but it's like translucent. It's like it looks like it's made of fucking ectoplasm. It's like fucking. It's a ghost, man.
Yeah, it looks like how it looks like sci-fi invisibility, right? Where they're not quite there, they're like tangible. I don't like that kind of thing.
It's got some kind of module attached to it, that like the technology base that someone's put there. Because that's the thing. That's actually the cool thing about haunted caves, though, because it is invincible. It could be the same one, you know, for everyone.
All the time.
Yeah,
it's also really rare, so and nobody really plays it. So it's plenty of reasons that there can only ever be one at any time. No one will notice the issue with that because nobody plays that game mode enough or that warning enough.
But you know that exactly. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, this would have been a good like video or podcast topic on its own, just like fix it up or like expanding the warnings that we already have. But like that's a great one with just the ghosts, where you add the more like variants and you have a way to like deal with them, like kind of, things like that. That's just good. It's just good shit. Come on, guys. But I mean, even that though, equipment like the lithovac and stuff, like just sort of just little entries and like all the deep rock equipment and like what it does and why it was made and all these little things that just make it feel more fleshed out. But back to, I mean, we got off track a while ago now, but the things that are like objectively missing, I think the Omen is kind of missing. Especially because it's not even introduced when you like do one, when you find one. Mission Control doesn't even introduce that event, right? And it would go in like it would slot perfectly in the automata like section, like species. It's only got one in there. It's Betsy. Right? Actually, it's not even Betsy.
Yeah.
It's in the section called automata, which means like robots. But it says designer charge sucker. Oh no, it does say Betsy. It's called Betsy. But that's the way you put the Omen, and the Omen is subjectively an enemy, right? You know, so that's like to like the curse light stuff, because like Tritolite isn't necessarily the same. That would be like a bit more beyond like me wanting like an entry for everything. But the Omen should definitely be in there, because that's also actually got cool like history that we do know about because of what was explained in like the very first trailer when it was added. That it was like remnants from an old program.
Plus, I think Omen.
It's the same. It's the result of the same thing as Betsy, basically. They're at the same time when they didn't have the dwarves involved.
And I think the Omen is definitely something that would benefit heavily from given tips in game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it is something that only becomes relatively doable once you've learned enough like tips. Once you know that you engineer platform, or if there's no engineer, like you call Molly, do a launch
I guess some
thing,
people it could help some people if it's just the mere indication of like you can activate the platforms without standing directly on them, and then also like which platform activates what like section. You know, things like that.
Like exactly kind of like what each segment does, like specifically. Like the drone launcher will release a drone like every so many seconds. You can destroy the drone, but you know it's coming straight for you, something like that. And it's like its tip is try and take this out early, or something like that, or like I don't know. Just the Omen Tower is definitely something that is very difficult to do by just trying it out yourself. You kind of need to learn things about it, learn tips about it to be able to do it at harder difficulties.
Yeah, that would genuinely help you. I mean, and the thing is, would you have to kill it though to get that entry?
Yeah, probably, but it wouldn't be that hard to do that early on, as mentioned.
No.
It's just when you go higher levels, it becomes a really big threat, and your knowledge about it hasn't increased enough to really match that.
Yes. So yeah.
What it is it's a bit. It definitely should be there, but there should be an events page anyway.
I mean, I was going to mention that actually, because this is once again divorced from me just wanting like an entry for everything. Certain things that should be in there is like a section in the manual on events, or even just specifically machine events, like explaining some of that stuff. People just don't know. They come across machine events. They just actually hold on a minute. Where is it? Getting started. There was something about promotions, right? In the miners manual, I swear.
Most definitely.
Overclocks are mentioned. That's something. Nope. I think I remember. I remember something, but there's nothing here.
Alright.
There ain't shit. What I'm saying, there ain't shite.
Oh no!
There ain't shizzle. I'll
shit.
give them credit though. These have actually got every passive creature in there. I guess except like the different types of maggots.
Yeah. Well, I think having on the biomes one, it wouldn't be the worst shout in the world to just have like a little tab that pulls up all of the biome specific stuff.
Because
maybe the enemies that are more inclined to spawn there.
Yeah, because if you go to the biome section, it like has like two like features like kind of like laid out, like explain like key features. But for some of them, it doesn't really work. Like sandblasted corridors, it's like we got sand, we got wind. Sick.
Yeah. Don't talk about how generally
makes sense. Some of it actually makes sense. Like I think. Here's a world. Oh, not even these. Somebody's like, is it the cave angel? Yeah, that's a key feature. But then the other stuff is just like plants glow.
Yeah,
a page that lists all the stuff. It doesn't even need to like actually explain it. It should just put the name like a picture. It's like here is a gherkin shuck. Here is a cumberbud.
Yeah, I mean that kind of stuff. But also they should actually have like legitimately helpful information there, being like the way that biome is kind of made. Like for the sandblasted one, it will be like it is very much open rooms. Like you will often find giant chasms, or not chasm, but like giant fucking, I don't know what the word is, but like the way that those are formed. You go into a sandblasted corridors, you will find giant rooms. It should basically say that. Does it say that? Like because. That would be a useful piece of information to know going into them. No. And the same with... I don't really know. Not many others are as simple as that, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, the hollow... See, there's some things you could explain. I don't exactly know how. But, like, for example, the hollow bow is actually, I think, like, equal in size, actually, to the sandblasted corridors. But it's filled up with, like, so much stuff.
Yeah. Like you could, stuff like that. Just like you could use that section to give like advice, warning on like how you should expect the terrain to be in that mission. Like in the hollow bow, expect open rooms yet cluttered. Like you won't be able to see very far, at least without like winding thorn trees in your way, like stuff like that. Like just that stuff would actually be useful in the BC, because let's be real, the miner's manual isn't that useful. It's not that useful.
I think it's probably, to be honest, I think it's probably underrated in how useful it could be for a beginner. I don't know if you've looked at the basics like section, the getting started section. It tells you everything you need to know, really, like to get started.
But then it just gives up on you. Like, he does quite a bit in the game, gives up the more you play.
It tells you, like the space rig, it's actually good. This is like exactly what I want. You look at the space rig section, it's like a map, and you can hover over any of the terminals, and it will tell you, like, it's a little, like, sentence or two about them. I just want that for, like, a lot of things. And, like, this isn't something like, oh, what about the error henge in, like, the Azure Wheel? It's like, no. I mean, they would say something about it, but the point is, there's a lot of lore that isn't written out that isn't just, like, answering mysteries. I know they don't want to do that, but there's a lot of non-mystery lore that can be written out, but isn't for some reason. But it's not this stuff is no reason to hide, they just haven't done it yet, or haven't done it.
If you lean into the error henge, there are mysterious formations that have been
theories that might be connected
appear
to the error cube or something, but we don't know what it is. We know what it does, and we know what it looks like, but we don't know what it is, and that's fine. I don't know. I just feel like it would feel cool if they just had that documentation somewhere. It just makes sense in like universe. But this is like a very immersion. Like a lot of this is very immersion based though. Like it was good that you got into like the biome stuff, where like it could actually give you some tips. Like that's good. Like that's stuff they definitely should do. Because I'm sort of shouting to the wind. Just like I just want just lore, I guess. Like arguably quite useless lore as well. But I just want to see that like writing.
Well, I think
done.
it's just but I think looking into like thinking about and creating a bit more depth in everything will just inherently inspire ideas that will then go into the game. Like it will just occur that like people will have like brainwaves where like, oh, hold on, this would be really fucking cool if we did this. Like that would occur often if they just go through and add not tons, but just actual good amounts of depth to like every single thing in the game, really. Which, well, is kind of quite a bit. It's also not that much.
It's also, that's something that someone who isn't like, that's not something a coder or an artist or anyone like that would be doing. I don't know who would do that job. I mean, I would do it, but
you would need like the actual person or people that are behind like the narrative or just general direction of the game, the people that know and how they like the game to be, like have the image of we're not going to add a fifth class, like those people that make those decisions, they would have to kind of be involved, preventing you from saying that combo buds are actually mini nuclear warheads that can go off at any moment. Like they're gonna have to keep you like in check in that regard, but like but they wouldn't actually have to spend much time doing it themselves. Obviously, like just hire a writer and kind of inform them on the world, which if you can't be asked to do that, maybe get someone that already knows the world, and then see what they can throw onto the page.
Oh, sorry, I'm just. Yes, but I've just seen a ridiculous perks tier list.
Hey, we're talking here. What are you looking at?
I mean, Tyler,
Reddit
they
for?
put So it's one of those ones where they actually use different names for the tiers. But for example, the bottom one is called "I never use." It's not like I've never used. It's I never use, and he never uses Dash, Resupplier, or Sweet Tooth, or Born Ready. Apparently.
Okay, so it's bait then.
Well, yeah, he's being a bit silly. It's like the second tier is Steve takes full damage from radiation, but that's where Beastmaster goes. But it's like a complaint about. Also, I didn't know that. So can we get a page about Steve, or like something explaining what the fuck elite enemies are?
Yeah, well, stuff like that. It's just I don't know. Yeah, maybe there should be like an elite symbol in the bestiary on the enemies that can be elite, right?
Yes.
The only reason there's no good reason to do that is because elites were delegated to not being a part of the game, which I don't think you can comprehend like how different the game would be if they stuck by themselves and actually made elites a permanent feature. Like how much different the game would be if they were like always around and not just delegated to.
Well, the thing is, the reason why I give them a pass on that a little bit because I don't think they were 100% on it like themselves when they added it.
Well,
I think they wanted to see if people liked it or not. I don't think the plan was necessarily we will definitely keep this outside of the warning. I think they were always going to have the warning, but they just were
going to
testing.
come back to it, right?
Yeah.
Like, which they have a lot of those going right now. A lot of things that they've said they were going to come back to and like elaborate on and give that a go, and that they show no signs of doing. And it's
also, can I just point out,
like
right? I want to point out the fact that there's no reason for the elite oppressor to have been removed if you're going to limit it to its like just the warning. Bring the oppressor back. Bring the elite. Give me elite dreadnoughts if you want. And we got elite. And also, we've got elite detonators. So why can't we have elite dreadnoughts? I mean, come on.
I think you and I both know.
Fucking hell. No, I mean, we can have oppressors if we can have detonators.
Although, yeah, I know.
I sort of propose that the best way to do that would have it be a swarm type, where it's like it contains just some elite enemies. Like it wouldn't be something all the time, but it's like I guess it's just the idea of it not being guaranteed, or like you don't know that you're going to come across them, but you don't deal with elite enemies in particularly different ways. It's
just they will just break your breakpoints and really throw a wrench in the way that you're currently doing the mission.
But maybe the point is it would just like even it happens so like rarely, but it would still happen, and what it might do is just make people feel like their builds are worse than they are. Possibly.
Yeah, or expose people that their builds are ass.
But only because elite enemies show up.
Well, that's because elite enemies are basically like for lower hazards, they would be basically pulling an enemy from like a higher hazard, right? Like
remember they couldn't spawn. They were like hazard 4 and above only. Remember?
I think it was hazard 3 and up, wasn't it?
I think I thought it
was hazard
that.
3 chance.
I thought it was that, and you were like, no, it's hazard 4. I was like, oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Either way, yeah, I know that you can actually get them that low, which is just I don't know, like because they know that elite enemies as a concept was for the more experienced players, for the higher tier players. Which is why I
still kind of believe in elite difficulty, like just a toggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or part of the sandwich.
Well, yeah, maybe. Absolutely, but
maybe I don't know what elite ones would be.
Yeah, what would that? I mean, it would have to be something like steroids, wouldn't it? Some kind of
they're not that big a deal, really.
Protein powder.
Maybe something proteiny. What is like an actual normal egg? Egg is egg protein?
Pure adrenaline injected into the sandwich.
It's just a syringe.
Syringe.
Yeah, but yeah, and that adds. We need to fucking do that, and by we I mean probably me. But like, I think you would want to be a part of it, wouldn't you? Just like make it.
Make a sandwich.
Elaborate the idea like completely, and then just make like 20 something plus toppings.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't explain that now.
No. Oh, that's a random fucking stream now as well. We can't really put. I think it was like last week's one.
What was that?
Like
last
when we
week's
came up with the idea,
was it?
or at least elaborated on it pretty thoroughly around then, wasn't it? Exactly. That's my point. We can't really point to the stream when we did it anymore. So the idea is going to be lost to time as far as unless we make an actual video on it. So that's kind of got to occur. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how many more enemies we got to talk about, or that they didn't.
There aren't
talk
really
about,
any more enemies.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, I was about to say like I thought maybe the robotic appendages or something. I don't know.
No,
I mean,
they're all there.
Arguably, like Tritolite deposit.
Tritolite
What about the
deposit.
Heartstone though? Surely that begs some kind of something. It's
Oh,
not. It's
yeah.
not a traditional enemy, but
It has. Yeah, I mean, it's Heartstone, the stone, the rocks, the beams. You know, like I don't know. It has obviously a
at the
game
same
mode
time,
section.
it might be difficult to
once
explain.
again-
Yeah. It might be difficult to explain the Heartstone without like revealing too much, or just going into stuff they don't want to go into.
But also, the Heartstone is another thing that would benefit from tips being openly available, right? Don't try and build platforms on the thing; it will destroy it, or it will launches you away whenever
then
a
it
segment is
destroys that, and then
cleared.
it launches you away. Yep.
Stuff like that, stuff that you kind of need to know to make it to constantly reliably do it.
The rocks can be insta killed with plasma bursting missiles.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to want to be advertising that one. But take out the rocks as ASAP because they will do a lot of damage to Doretta, something like that. Those are the kind of lines of tips they have. But yeah,
Or,
I mean
you can
that's
take
why.
out the beamers really easily, like from the tips, and actually tell people there's a reason to go with tips. Cause there is,
I think-
and that's what So first of all, I want to point something out about not first of all. Well, I'm saying first of all, like over an hour in. But it's just a tip on like the Heartstone fight for people, right? The beamers. Well, not the beamers. Like just the weird claw protrusions that are just there when you get to the Heartstone. You shouldn't really get rid of any of them because they're actually the best way to get up and hit the beamers right at the tip, which instantly kills them. So you can try that if you just prefer to just hit them at the bottom, even if you don't play Driller, go ahead. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're there for, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, just decor. But it is worth noting that the Doretta always destroys one, right? She always comes in at the angle that is there, if you know what I mean. They're always to the left and to the right and behind Doretta. She never comes in at an angle.
They're always facing each other. It's just how it works.
So they're arguably a bit like a compass. A bit. The Ombre Heartstone is always angled in a certain way.
You say it's a clock. You say it's a clock.
I'm just not saying it's a clock. I'm just saying that it's a bit suspicious. Either that or it's like a pierced nipple of Hoxie's, or something like that. Got a weird nipple.
Some kind of sphincter.
I don't know what your sphincter looks like. If it's a protruding, glowing orb with jagged spikes coming out of it, but
to each their own.
No, at that point, to each not to his own. To each to go to the hospital.
I don't need a hospital. I think I need an exorcist.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, point is you probably noticed it, but I mean Tom ain't here and James isn't here, so I don't know what you want to do now, but we can do the comments. Since it's just you and me.
Actually, we don't have to do that because we have reached minimum time, which means we don't have to go on any longer, believe it or not, and we're not doing it naturally, or at least it seems like we're not doing it naturally. The only reason we would ever need to look at viewer comments is if we ever put out like a direct post and we use that as like a podcast material directly, or if we literally somehow don't get to an hour and a quarter with whatever other means we have at our disposal. But we have.
All right.
Which means we could end it. Oh, this is weird.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like. I feel like we're still.
Maybe we should. Maybe you know. Why don't you find something? Maybe we should always do some. Maybe we should always end it with a
hello, Tom.
comment.
Yeah, I've been here the whole time, but is my mic still weird?
It's not the best, but then again, we're not really the best anyway, so
maybe we should
it
just
works
end
out.
these with a comment. If we haven't got to 2 hours, maybe we should just end them with a comment.
Sure, I think
Not
a bit of a comment, yeah, definitely. Get a bit of interaction. Is that you want me to find a comment?
Yes, I like it when you do it.
All right.
Even though I'm collecting a library of like the best ones. I mean, there's not very many. They're not that great.
Do
But anyway.
Is this my phone already running out of charge? Fucking hell, this thing is. Oh my god, it's on 6%. All right, well, this will be like the last thing it does. Although the thing is, this occurred recently. But like, if my phone dies, I can't actually turn it back on because I need to hold down the on button to turn it.
You can't turn it on because it's out of power. You bozo.
No, I can't turn it on because I can't turn it on from being fully off because I have to hold down the on button. But I don't have an on button, so I had to grab a stapler or like a staple and prod the metal prong into like a little hole in the side of my phone, and it managed to turn it on in the end. But the point is that's why I'm currently moving because I need to put my phone on charge or I won't be able to turn it back on charge. Yeah. All right. We're 171. God, we're so amazing. All right. Comments. What kind of comments are we going to want? We want like a positive one or
anything that catches your eye.
All right. Well, for some reason, some people have been commenting a lot on the negative Deep Rock review comment
I keep forgetting about that video.
Yeah, that one. I think we should do that again at some point because people
How would we do
like
it again?
Microsoft Store thing. Microsoft Store reviews.
That's a good.
Plus, we only did like 2 days worth of negative reviews on Steam. We could easily just do it again. There'll be a completely new poll.
That's quite bad. There's that many.
Yeah.
Anyway, have you got a comment? Have you got something?
What? I haven't got anything in particular, but it's just that, like, all of a sudden, a video that's kind of old at this point, everyone just started commenting, pointy-eared leaf lovers, elves, all of them. Just a couple comments, just shouting and calling them leaf lovers and that. And stuff like that, and it's pretty funny. Also, one of them is literally called just Dwarf, and he's the driller. Just so he's really kind of doubled down. We have on the primary weapons tier list. Clearly, I'm doing more than one apparently, but I just do a couple. Primary weapons tier list part 2. Haunted Charge says. I think you've responded to this. Animated sitcom main character tier list when. Which I think John, would you want to be a part?
Tyler, that was your response. I didn't write that.
Oh.
You idiot.
When the Deep Rock well runs dry. Okay.
Well, I mean, actually, it won't because I've just realised we're going to be able to actually do tier lists again for a while, a little bit. They're back. They're back on the menu.
We can rehash most of them now.
I'll tell you what. I'm actually one of the reasons I'm excited for new overclocks, right? Is because that means there might actually be. There's always been an excuse, but there's more reason to. I know you don't want to do it, but to do like the overclock tier list for like every weapon. I know you won't be able to fight me on every class, especially because we've done like the big one already. So we'll definitely do like ones like that, but for each class. But I want to do like every single weapon own video.
Sure, but yeah, I'm not segregating myself like that. Like I'm not doing that. It's just too much. It's too long to get invested in.
I know, but the problem is, right? If we get to that stage, it would almost be like you wouldn't have enough. If we did like the 4 like for each class, like but if you did that back to back weekly, you wouldn't have enough time to really try everything. Although, frankly, we should have be well acquainted enough where we should only really have to use the new ones.
Well, at that point, Harry, you might as well just do a gun breakdown, which you already kind of did, right? It's just the same idea in a different format, which it will likely end up being a series that we stop doing again because it just loses traction. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just, that is purely comes from you just wanting to have an extortionate amount of videos in the backlog, like that you could easily do. But I don't know. I can't get behind that idea. It's not. It wouldn't even be that fun to watch. No one gives a shit where you're gonna place clean overclocks in a tier list, right? And everyone knows that like what will be in S and tier because everyone knows what the best overclocks are in guns. Like it's like, individually.
I'm just saying, well, by the time we got new overclocks, considering that and the other balancing changes that would have been made, it might be a pretty different atmosphere.
I think we could do like another overclock, like an overall overclock tier list, and then we could do like one where we add all the new ones in amongst them, or like maybe per character if you want to break it down more.
Right, like okay, that would be,
I think
that would be
kind of
two videos. I mean, that's not really a compromise considering I want to do every single weapon. And you want to do every all in one. The compromise would be doing it per class.
Yeah, I think per class I can deal with, but per weapon is stupid. It's dumb and it's a waste of everyone's time. So yeah, I'm not fond of that idea. But yeah, I mean, if we get more overclocks, we'll give that a go.
No, let's say when.
Let's go with if. No, it is when. Because they do have some going, but they still have no idea when they're going to actually use them.
Hold on, Ghost Ship. Don't be afraid. I'm just saying, people actually. This is a really difficult topic. Actually, that could actually spiral off. So I'll keep it. I won't necessarily keep it brief, but I won't let this spiral off. I'll just stop this if it does. But I can kind of see in a lot of ways why Ghost Ship isn't willing to just do shit, well, they wouldn't just add those overclock prototypes they have, because it's not actually the case that people will just lap it up. Like, Reddit is an echo chamber of like jerking Ghost Ship off, but at the same time, they probably got hit hard when the robots were like received so negatively. Like,
yeah, because even the people that do jack them off were like, hold on a minute, they let go of the penis. They were like,
I'm getting at, there might have been a bit of like a knock of confidence when that happened. That is possibly could have been like a big deal in terms of development, possibly. And I can imagine feeling pretty shit that something that you've worked on for so long comes out and like considered one of the worst parts of your game.
I'm trying to like brainstorm, like, because I want to posit a question during the dev stream. Not that obviously it's guaranteed an answer, but it's guaranteed
Do you mean
an
on
answer.
The anniversary Q&A specifically, right?
Yeah, like the it's like. At that point, it's like you're not really guaranteed an answer, unlike the normal dev stream. But if you get answered, you're guaranteed like the best type of answer.
Well, yeah,
really.
because of who it comes from. I mean, sorry,
yeah,
it's mainly if it comes from Mikkel, not the other guy.
Like, yeah, like if you get that in there, you are basically like, whatever your question is, you're kind of pushing it to like the head of the game. You like, if what you say is said well enough, you could make a change for the future of the game. That's at least what it feels like. Positive questions like that, and I feel
mean,
like
if you've got something in mind, you should literally send it to me so I can like word it in the best way possible.
Well, no, that's the issue. I don't, but I'm like brainstorming like a couple of them. But the one that just popped into my head there is like, how has the community's reaction to the robots affected the future of the game?
That's actually, also, by the way, that's quite well worded, by the way. That's not like, how has the negative response affected?
Yeah.
You don't need to mention the actual, you don't need to use those words. Just
that's the issue though, right? Really, is that it isn't 100% negative. It's about like 80 to 70% negative. There are a solid amount of people that are completely fine with the robots. We are some of them. Commenters are some of them. I'll probably find some.
That is actually like so true though. When I think about it, it's like, oh, do I actually like all the robots? It's like, yeah, I like all the robots. I even like Nemesis. I still have issues with that mission though.
Yeah, having the mission type be forced is the only issue I have with the robots going forward. And yeah, I think
actually, I don't even really have any particular big like when I play Industrial Sabotage, like this thing about it in particular sucks, but I still don't ever feel like playing them. I still don't.
Yeah, I would say I
like Rival Presidents as a warning.
I prefer Rival Rival Presidents. I'm fine with. Like I as a warning, I actually really quite like. It does it is the pinnacle of warnings in my opinion.
Yeah, it's my favorite, and I agree with that. Like,
yeah,
that statement.
But and the game mode, which is arguably the biggest issue people can really have with them nowadays, other than if people still can't jive with the nemesis. I would say I still prefer fucking Industrial Sabotage to Escort Duty, like any real day of the week. like I'm much more willing to jump into a Industrial Sabotage than a Escort Duty if it's on my assignment. I probably won't jump into either if it isn't, but it's still the case that I don't know. But like, yeah, and there are commenters that are completely fine with them that I've seen mentioned. The fact that there are so many people playing the game means at least everyone is at least willing to tolerate robots, really, right? Obviously, that is stretched when it is forced upon them in a game mode, but that is what it is. But yeah, it's not it is mostly negative, but it is not. There's not an undeniable piece of content that everyone and their cousin hates.
I wouldn't call it like an overwhelming hatred.
Yeah, like
possibly a majority of like it's possible there's a majority mixed.
Well, yeah, it's definitely mixed, right? Which is just a lot more negative.
What I'm saying is it the case that a majority of people's, if you took like the majority of opinions on the robots, would it average out to mixed to negative?
Yeah, but like I think so. Even then, that is still way more negative than anything they've ever really had to deal with. Exactly. The only real other negative things that people have to say about the game is the overclock grind. That's it. That's like the only other source of gripe that people have made themselves known to have with the game.
Well, not the only one, but depends on who you ask.
But we're like higher beings and also higher just two beings. People, so it doesn't really matter what we say. You need like at least 1,000 people to really get a point out there.
1,000 barrel noughts.
Yeah, like us having 1,000 subscribers, but more if your post is like overtly not positive, like it's pointing out an issue with the game. If you can get 1,000 or so people to agree with you, then I think Ghost Ship then has to kind of sit back and be like,
I'm not going to read it out, but I want to. I have it saved. I just want to see how that post is doing. You're
really hyping it up at this point, because even I don't know what it's about.
But, I haven't read it.
Right.
I mean, I've read like the title. I think for the sake of DRG's longevity, future seasons should focus on Hoxie/DRG at the company and not outside forces. It's got about 400 upvotes.
Yeah. I mean, so I think. Well, I mean, I've been saying that for the last 2 seasons, but if you can get the word out there, then that's a win-win for both of us.
Yeah. Also, chances are, Tyler, that was hidden in something every time. I mean, as in, there's no video titled that necessarily.
No.
Although I guess your season ideas video.
In fact, you probably probably mentioned it then. Probably mentioned it when we were theorizing what would come out in season 2. 3 rather. What will come out in 3. Like when they announced that something's coming towards Hoxies, I probably mentioned that. Why do they keep doing that?
Why do they keep doing it?
Probably about that early.
It only feels like they keep doing it because we've had like over a year and a half of it.
Well, but then though it was just like, again the same gimmick again, that something's coming to Hoxies instead of Hoxies is doing something, or Ghost Ship or Ghost Ship DRG is doing something, which I assume is what his post is about. But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually one of my favorite options. Not just Hoxies doing shit, but just people just deciding to do more shit. It's just like, we've decided we've had like readings close enough. We decided you're gonna try and get to the core. Go on.
Well, that's what the biome thing was, right? It was them deciding, you know what, fuck it, you're going to these two places now. It wasn't that those biomes suddenly magically appeared, was it?
Well, I assume
It was just
no, they didn't magically appear, but I assume there's probably some kind of explanation. They probably have like scouts that go to like, the edges of the biome to play scanners, and they'd only just recently actually scanned out long range enough. I don't really know how any of that works. They probably don't either. But yeah, that happened.
But yeah, like the things before were literally it was. I guess that's the only that's the thing actually though. I didn't think about it this way, but all the updates before seasons was either Hoxie's has done something or Deep Rock Galactic, the company, has done something.
And the only reason I miss that style is because it's been so long.
Yeah, that's actually like always been how it is. So now they're trying to venture out into like things coming to Hoxie's. So honestly, thinking about it that way, it's fair enough. It's more that like I draw a hard in fact, drawing a line is putting it too simple. I build a wall between seasons and updates. Right? Going into season 1, that's it. Season 1 is like the start of the game, as far as I'm concerned. As far as it feels like they would be concerned.
Well, is it though? Because it kind of it's not in their eyes the start of the game. It marks a new direction, but for them, the game did start when they launched it with 1.0. The season's just marking a direction, but it's too. I think seasons as a concept creates too much of a game's identity for it to not be considered some kind of starting point.
Exactly, and it's a thing. The same as the first or the next two updates that came out.
Life, arguably.
When the game launched, the first 2 updates that came out were just like kind of just adding more to the base game. Right, which is obviously what I want now, but just 2 more game modes,
they did that
2 more
after
biomes.
It was considered completed, though.
Exactly, but it was then they decided to fill in some more stuff that they felt like they left behind, and then they took a look at themselves because obviously they said this quite vocally. They're like, we want to change the direction here. We don't want to do like this stuff anymore. Basically, we want to try and switch it up, and then they went to seasons, which is why I drew a line in there. So since seasons, the gimmick or the story or whatever, like the source of the season has only ever been I don't know what the word is, like other I can't think of the word. Basically, it comes from outer space instead of Hoxie's or the company. It's never been like a personal thing, because I would argue anything Hoxie's does is a more personal way of going about it.
Well, I mean, I think because I think they saw the rivals pretty like personal. It was like
the company saw them personally. Part season 1 was the company being like, hold on, can't be having any of that, and it was like the company took it personally. But then season 2, the rivals took it personally against you, the dwarf, and then they made the nemesis. So they made it personal, but it didn't start personal, unlike Hoxie's, which already is. The Life of Age is in no way, shape, or form personal. We literally could just stop going to Hoxie's, and it wouldn't be an issue anymore. You know what I mean? Like it would literally we wouldn't have to deal with it. Meanwhile, obviously, you could say the same to the rivals, but like I don't know. Point is,
I don't know.
Point is that since they started seasons, which I think is a good line to draw, wall to put up.
It definitely marks.
They've only been using the same type of storytelling, being something's coming, and then that thing is still here,
But yeah,
new thing's coming.
I guess the only problem is that they've only done that twice, yet it feels like they've been. It's not they've done that too much, although I guess they kind of have. I feel it's not too much. It's just like you shouldn't really repeat things anyway. But it's actually, even if they haven't done it that many times, they've still been doing that for a long time because of how long these seasons take. So I think they do need to shake it up. As in, I don't see the next new thing coming from outer space anyway. And even if it is, I kind of want a new theme anyway, for some reason. Part of me wants it. There's a lot of good reasons why I want to see them do the Rockbox, but it's only because I don't think the Rockbox has done well enough.
The only issue, that's the thing though,
But
is
I still
that
want to see something new.
If the
Already had it quite
Rockpox,
a while.
if the Rockpox was a prominent enough, well-established enough, diverse enough thing from the get-go, I wouldn't want another part 2 because I don't particularly care for the Rockpox. I think they're fine. So it really changes how you fight against those enemies, but it's whatever. And the new mechanic of summoning things down and using the equipment is interesting, and I hope they explore that more. But otherwise, it is what it is. But if they do not improve the Rockpox to the point where they are a valuable asset to the game as an enemy type, it's just going to be a worse addition, and it's just going to be a waste of bloat, because it will bloat up the game because it's an entire new enemy type with no substance to it, especially lore wise, because they don't be doing lore wise.
So you could argue it'd be better to just doubt if that might just still be the case, even if they really try to hand it again. So it might be better to just downplay it and do something else, potentially.
Yeah, but
I think there are
no,
arguments.
yeah, but no,
It's not that black and white. Is what I mean. And
because the thing is that the life of age is going to be incredibly prominent still, because even I assume once the life of age is not the main primary threat, there won't be like 2 to 3 biomes infected, but there will still likely be a biome infected from now on, right? Like from for the rest of the game, the biome will be infected. I imagine at all times.
No, because that's a bit of more of an abstract thing. That warning will always be present, but I don't think they're going to keep up the infected biomes things beyond the theme.
That's such a good mechanic. Like it's what makes the warning interesting. Other than obviously the warning being far too big.
Well, no, because I just don't feel like they would necessarily do that. I think once we passed Rockbox
I think
officially,
the only reason they wouldn't
that part might disappear.
Yeah, but I don't know
It's
what
not
makes you
actual
think.
content. Because
Yeah, but no, but it is. But it's also I don't know
it's
what
absolutely not content.
It absolutely
it's just visuals on the map.
Yeah, and it's visuals that make you the content that an entire biome is taken over by rockpox and has increased meteor chance and
but they
missions.
won't. That's the point. They won't want increased meteor chances because those aren't going to be treated the same way once rockpox isn't a thing. Main focus.
Well, they could, yeah, but like, I guess, but there will still be a thing, right? Like the rockpox is still going to be around, meteors are still going to be around because they're never going to remove the content. So there's no reason.
I see it kind of the same. Maybe I shouldn't see it the same way as like because obviously you had a high chance of getting all those events. No, actually, it's more like the Nemesis. I think actually, well, that had a higher chance to spawn, for some reason on something, and then they decreased the chance of spawning. I don't know. I'm just saying they change things, and I think they would change it beyond just minimizing it down to one biome, possibly. Although actually that is a significant change. It would, yeah. I think after Rockbox,
if they get rid of that entirely,
I know, you're right, but I feel like they might.
It's a consequence of this type of additions, though. Like, if they remove it in entirely like that, it is just going to fall down like even further below the rivals as an empty addition to the game. Just more bloat. And if it doesn't actually have a presence, like it taking over
that's only
a map,
because they haven't made content that people would like to see in every mission. Maybe we need to face that. Maybe that
is really true, though. Yeah, that is actually a gigantic point. That none of these enemy types are anything anyone would want to fight consistently. Unlike the normal horde, right? Like you cannot come close to comparing.
Rockbox, does it actually apply to Rockbox, or do people?
They wouldn't know because they barely play it because there's barely any opportunities to go against them.
They had far more reason to be confident in placing the Rockbox enemies more.
Yeah, but they were too afraid. At least that's what my theory is. And if I can ask them that question, we'll be able to prove it. I
mean, I think they're going to have to work around this in some way, but it's going to result in the game having to be divided up in some way, right? So, for example, I actually think having a biome always be infected is actually a good idea. Because that's sort of like that will probably not be too bad in the long term. It's just it will probably get to the point where every biome will be like segregated into like representing like a season from the past, and it just sort of alternates between rotations, like missions. It's like, oh, now this biome is like the one where the lithophage stuff is, and now this biome is one where the robot stuff is. I think we might get to that eventually, but that might be the only workaround where there's like clear divides for like the seasonal content. But then, in a way that would work, you would have like the one infected biome actually have rockpox swarms on the normal missions too. Just do it already, even as it is. Even as, good lord, man, good god.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't know what the future lies for the game.
Well, does it feel like it's getting bloated to you? Because it shouldn't, because we're just not getting content often enough for it to really work that way.
I like variety, right? I love the giant pool of events. The issue is there is these warnings aren't adding variety to anything other than warnings. Your mission can still have the exact same enemies as before seasons were added. Right? Like, that's completely on the table. You could do a mission that you never encounter robots, you never encounter rockpox. That's like never even a thing that you have to worry about.
Basically, how the rockpox is now is actually how it should have been once it was done with. And it should have been done in a way where it was just... but the thing is, this is why... this is the point about me not wanting to let it spiral off, because this is what would happen... or this is what has now happened when I let it spiral off from the point of them possibly having lost their confidence because of the robots. And that's why there isn't as much presence from the rockpox, because they are just more scared of forcing anything. And I can see why they would be, because of what happened to the robots. Because that was more, and it's like, that was more forced because of the data deposit and things like that.
Is they act like there isn't like nuance to it, in that like people's only issues with like robots being forced on them is because robots are forced on you, right? Industrial sabotage, robots are everything. They're the whole thing always bothering you, right? Rival presence all the time. Whole fucking room is filled up with turrets and all that. Like, they are there. They are prominent. They are in your face often. The events, Prospector is pretty rival like pushed. Like, you have to fight a lot of patrol bots in a Prospector fight, which it's not preferable, but it is what it is. But like it is the fact that like robots aren't pushed lightly on you, they are pushed hard on you, or not at all. That's really what robots are, except for like the recon tower things, the recon things. They are a light one because they're light on everything. They really fucking nerfed that event. You get like half a shredder swarm during that entire fucking event.
And then Rockbox is kind of like, it's already tucked away, so you're never really forced to do it. And it's not the main thing in its mission.
Yeah, but in saying that though,
but you can point that out as possibly being a learnt lesson. That they essentially made Lithophage Outbreak a warning, so it could be a mission type, but it's not like all Rockpox. It's like its own mission type, but it's not like, it doesn't completely change it to be a Rockpox mission type. I think that you can point out as something that they just try to do differently, or they learn. It doesn't mean they learn like in the sense of, you think about normal teaching, you're taught the solution. They weren't taught the solution. Obviously, that's not how game development works. But they just knew that they needed to do something differently. So that's actually fair to an extent.
I think, honestly, I feel like a lot of things will be solved, or a lot of answers will be found if they just add a robot and a life-phage swarm type that could just occur in any mission. Just in the pool.
Because that could go badly, though, couldn't it? That's the thing. But I feel like we need to know.
Yeah, in the pool, you should just be able to experience these enemies like all the other enemies in the game. That should just be available. Like, you can get fucking dreadnoughts. You can get fucking dreadnoughts in swarm raids, yet you can't have life-phage enemies. They would rather jump you with a fucking boss fight that you're not prepared to fight against than a couple shredders and a patrol bot.
So
They
well, hold
are
on.
so hesitant to force their new enemies upon you. They would rather make you fight a dreadnought
even though the
like,
new
a normal mission.
enemies are 2 glyphids.
Yeah, they would actually they are too hesitant to make you fight against them, but they are completely confident that you can take a dreadnought in a mission where you had no way prepared for that. You were using the flamethrower with a fire build and a wave cooker temperature shock build, and now you've got to fight a fucking dreadnought.
But surely in normal gameplay, surely the oppressor is more of a curveball than a Rockbox Praetorian. Like when the oppressor was new, you know.
It's just like, just add a light amount of enemies to every mission and you'll be fine. Then they will feel a part of the game. But as it stands now, they are an extra. They are DLC. They feel separate from the rest of the pool of the game. Like, literally, the Rockbox even more so, right? It really feels like it's a DLC character that has not been well integrated with the rest of the game. Like in like a a story, like a new DLC character in like a fucking Borderlands thing. Like how it's not in the main game at all, and then suddenly in the DLC.
You can see why they went that route though, but at the same time, I haven't seen the feedback required that would send them in the route of like on a return path to try and find. I haven't seen the feedback that would lead them to try and find a middle ground.
Thing is though, this is not something they've learned. They've not removed from the robots. This was just something they never have done, which I think would solve a lot of my issues. In the new enemy types and the new seasonal contents feel so DLC. It feels like the game is done. They're adding DLC now. That's what it feels like.
Because it's so different in sort of presentation.
Yeah, so different and so segregated, Harry. That's the thing. It's like Borderlands.
Well, it's different. I should say distinguished or distinctified, as in made different and separate. As in it's very standalone. What I mean. So it stands out because it doesn't look like anything else in the game, but it's also not. Yeah. Like implemented like in a
at least generally. Obviously, well, right. Robots have been integrated a lot more because there's a lot more robots, a lot more ways of getting them. We've had 2 seasons of them.
Do feel like a part of the games. Just people still just don't like industrial sabotage.
I just think that like if they add a rival swarm, that would be it. And I'm not asking for a lot. I'm asking for like that entire swarm will consist of like 2 to 3 shredder swarms and like 1 to 2 patrol bots, and then like normal enemies.
Like a chance, also a chance for Nemesis spawn.
Maybe a small chance.
I think so because obviously the only way to get a Nemesis outside of rival presence is just a natural spawn, and they'll only
which I think is something on purpose. I don't think they want, unless you've accepted rivals, they don't want you to get jumped mid-mission by a Nemesis you didn't know.
I mean, basically what I mean is that the chances would essentially be the same or even lower. If there's just a chance that you can get a Nemesis during a rival swarm, which you only have a chance of getting in the first place. It's only as common as like, I don't know, the Praetorian one, because I think the Praetorian ones aren't as common as like
that's fair.
Others.
I don't know. I think the fact that you can get Nemesises in a Nemesis in a completely unrelated robot thing is enough for a Nemesis. The fact that it's actually present enough to be in other missions is fine. It's just like having, because also I want more variants, like more events in the variant pool, but like new waves.
We should point out though. Remember the thing with like robot and Rockbox swarms. Obviously, we have Rockbox swarms. But they would both end up, as long as you'd have to be very careful, because as it stands, they wouldn't actually be that interesting of swarms. It's only because they're different. Remember, in the rival one, you'd only have in both of them. There's only 2 enemy types, really. I mean,
exactly.
You would have parasites in the Rockbox one. So actually, the Rockbox is more than the rival.
It is more a psychological thing. I am pitching a psychological, and just because technically it would change the pool of that, it literally, you just insert a light amount of this enemy type. It's like in a normal way. I'm just going to finish that thought off, but it's like a DLC. And I've been playing this recently, Persona 5 basically, and its DLC is like lightly like just thrown in mid game basically. Like there's 2 new characters that they add, and these characters have like a couple, like 1 or 2 interactions with other characters because they just lightly interact the DLC into the main content, and that just kind of makes it feel like it's been part of the game the whole time, right? That is what at least the Life of Phage really needs. The robots are fine, but a light amount and a light alternate wave would be fun and be cool. But they don't really need it, and I don't see a time where they would add it. But the Lithophage enemies, they already have a Lithophage swarm, right?
Well, that's
already a thing in the game.
It does exist, exactly. Which makes me think they were possibly like planning on it being elsewhere.
Yeah, but they decided not to, which they should just do. And I would say, like, if people complain about, a Rockpox swarm being thrown at them and they're not really built for it, which I would say, unlike the robots, it's hard to not be built for a Rockpox because, like, everything kind of works against them, right? Precise weapons, obviously, you then have to be precise, but you could pop their things really easily. Crowd clearing weapons, you kind of just. Like AoE, you just go through them, right? You hit multiple at the same time.
See, AoE is inconsistent. You might be slightly mistaken because, for example, grenade launcher explosion doesn't pop blisters, but the flamethrower does, but also not like through. Like for example, with the flamethrower, you see the flamethrower is an AoE weapon, but it actually only pops blisters that you directly hit, but it can actually hit multiple at the same time. It's weird, but like basically what I mean is like the only build where you actually can't really deal with Rockpox like, as well as it's one of the worst ones would actually be if you had like the smart rifle and the grenade launcher. You'd actually be not very well equipped for it.
Even then, so like if too many people are running that specific build.
Because the smart rifle should target the blisters, alright? It's the smart rifle.
If it's so fucking smart, maybe it should do that.
Why can't it target weak points anyway? At least have Executioner do that. At least
or maybe the thing that makes it smarter, like
maybe
the upgrade.
those 2 at least. Or maybe that should be a mod, by the way, actually. The smart rifle, that should be a mod. Not an overclock. It should be a mod where it can target weak points. It's got other shit. Yeah. Like it's got like smart targeting as like a mod, but all it does, it makes it like cap.
It just doesn't waste any shots.
Yeah, but it still makes it worse somehow.
Yeah,
the smart rifle already doesn't waste shots because it stops firing once it's killed something.
It's just if you want to. It's just kind of slightly useful, but not that useful. It's just dumb. The smart rifle's dumb. I don't want to get bogged down in that. But the point is that like if for some god knows reason, too many people complain about having to deal with Lithophage when they didn't sign up for it. Just lighten the amount of Lithophage in the swarm, right? That's all I'm saying. Because there should be a somewhat amount of interaction with those enemies in a swarm pool generally, right? If it mentions it, like, hold on team, a Lithophage enemies have been spotted nearby, prepare for it, stuff like that. Like, hold on team, the rivals have been spotted nearby, prepare for it team. Just literally that's like it. And then just have like a couple of those enemies be amongst a maybe normal swarm, or they have more of them if they want to risk it, right? But that's it. And that will incorporate these new enemy types so much more into the game. And that will make them feel so much more a part of it.
Yeah, see, that's good. But also a mindset, maybe just to take home for Ghost Ships, just like, you should be I like I said, I think there's a lot of reasons why the Rockpox turned out the way it did in terms of, like, them trying to have learned, like, lessons from the robots. But in terms of possibly a lesson that you might not have picked up on, you also need to make content that you're confident in. It sounds stupid. I don't get the sense that they were that confident in the Rockpox, and
exactly though.
It's content that you can put everywhere. Content you can treat as if it's like how you used to add enemies like before seasons.
Harry, I really don't feel like you can like. I think we both agree that it feels like they back down a little bit in forcing the amount of enemies or the enemies new enemy types upon people. But that is just an impression. You can't accuse them and say that you need to stop doing this because they might not have been doing it from the first place, mate. It could have just been a coincidence that they really didn't feel like incorporating Lithophage that much into anywhere other than the effective biomes.
Because it still represents the problem of that content feeling more segregated than it should. It doesn't matter why they did it. You
can call them out for that and say that, but like don't say because they're cowards.
No. I should say maybe what I should say is it doesn't matter why. It's still not a good idea necessarily. They should still be making content that they should be able to put everywhere. or relatively, not like all the time. Just it shouldn't be omni temporal. It should be omnipresent. It should be it shouldn't be all the time. But it should be everywhere.
I mean, I really didn't think about it until you stated it, but it is just a fact that, like, why are they suddenly adding enemies that they can't just always be there? Like, why is that suddenly a thing?
This is why these conversations
why are they
still
not
happen,
like?
because we do uncover new stuff every time. Because
like, what's wrong with just adding a new type of glyphid? Like that's what they just did, right? They were like, okay, people are bunkering, let's add an oppressor. Okay,
and
I don't know the reason.
It can just be there all the time. It can be in any mission. Right? You can get like a lot of them, or not a lot.
They are just part of the pool, and sometimes they're part of a specific pool, like a Praetorian swarm. You get more oppressors, but otherwise, generally, you just get them normally. And then like Mactera spawns, stuff like that. Just like I don't see the need for the constant use of new enemy types that can't be applied everywhere.
Yeah,
like just
the rockpox
add enemies.
I mean, because obviously they are glyphids, but they strike me as a good alternative glyphid type. You know, if they weren't rockpox, it would have been like the glyphid, it would have been like a glyphid like blisterback or something, where it's like this tank, but it has like exposed blisters, and people are like, oh, it's a cool new glyphid. I can't wait to see it in every different mission. Every mission.
Yeah, like no, they're like purposefully segregating them so they can't incorporate them in the normal pool, which I feel like is just really weird.
Even when they're glyphid.
Yeah, and it is just like they're adding so much content that you have to go out of your way to play with, and it just feels dumb as hell.
And that's not the type of content that it needs necessarily. And you think like industrial sabotage shouldn't have been something like that, but even that was, and that's the problem with that mission type. It's not like a normal mission type either. You could at least have the mission type, and that's why I respect actually the Phage Outbreak in a way, in that sense, in that it's actually more like approachable. I think I don't have a problem with that mutator being on a mission like ever. It's just more approachable, I guess.
I do think that the warning, as much as I think that they went too far, like they didn't go too far. I like it. I really fucking like it. I said it before that I wanted them to take the two primary objectives from the fucking deep dives and put that into the normal game, see what happens, right? I really like the idea. I just think it shouldn't have been called a warning. It should have been something else. That is my only issue with it. Otherwise,
it's not even
I think
necessarily
really
that it wasn't its own mission type, because I think that was a very specific choice, actually.
Yeah, and I think it was a good one, so because clearly they fucked up.
No, because I think it's a good choice to avoid creating too much of a fixed experience. And that's smart, but I still think they could make mission types that aren't like that.
Yeah, well, because it's a thing that, like, when you made the rivals the main mission type, which obviously that's industrial sabotage, you forced rivals to be everything. That entire mission is based on them, and then you kind of pocket them in that mission, right? You then can only really do anything with them in that mission, and like other, but like it kind of, it forces something that they clearly didn't like. But then turning it to the point where now any other mission, any normal mission, can now be like it's like inserting industrial sabotage into normal mission. The normal mission pool is what it's done, really, right?
Yeah.
It's inserted the new enemy type specific objective into normal missions, so people that want to play those normal missions can also then play this new game mode, basically.
I mean, Rival Presence was sort of like that, but more like less focused, wasn't it? Whereas like the Nemesis sort of was like the caretaker, but obviously that was disconnected from the warning. But it was like the in normal mission caretaker, and then like the Rival Presence, you have sort of like a dedicated like rival like structure that you have to take on.
I think that is definitely something that I don't think we should expect seeing a game mode ever again that is like industrial sabotage, in that it won't be part of the normal pool. I don't think we should ever expect something like that again.
I don't think they want to do that. Because
from now on,
the reason why it was like that is not only just because I think they did think it was a cool idea to have this like special mission type, but it was like that not only because they wanted it to be, but because it had to be because of how different it is. And I think on every level, they don't want to make a mission that is that. They don't want to make one with the intention of it being that, and they don't want to make one that is so extreme that it has to be that either.
It has to be out of the pool, because that was a huge mistake. That is the reason, because you can tell, right? That nobody played it while it was out of the pool, so that's why they then added it to the pool so people would play it, and people fucking hated it because it's not made to be in the pool of
like it should be there.
The pool of the yeah, they made a good decision in not making it part of the normal pool, and there was nothing they can do to make it so. Yeah, and I think at the bare minimum, they learned from not even the robots, just the first couple of seasons, that everything. I would like to say they learned this, but everything they add should be able to perfectly integrate with the original game.
It takes a while to see if they learn things because of the speed, but we've I think we've gotten over that. I think we've got.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're trying to assume stuff with what season 3 gave us, right? We're trying to assume that they are now scared of forcing people to play with this new enemy type and stuff like that. But we'll only really know that moving forward.
I mean, but this is why, because we used to be like, oh, season 3 is going to be like the most important season or whatever. I think every season is going to be the most important season because it's always going to be things that it's going to have to address or just change. Yeah. It's always going to change things. There's always going to be reasons for next season to be important.
Well, look, that's still
interesting. I don't know if it's necessarily good, but
I still do have to agree though that season 3 was probably the most important season we've had. Right? I think season 3 was still more important than what season 4 is going to be. I'm sorry, but season 3 taught us and showed us a lot. It showed us a new enemy type, which was very new, right? Seasons had only ever been robots so far. A new enemy type, incredibly important, and shapes the way that seasons are going to be seen so far. And they showed us that without...
That almost sound like you were rapping.
Without the weapons, how do the seasons perform? With the grenades instead. Those two things were very important lessons that they needed to learn and we needed to learn. And going forward, we will see the ramifications of the effects of season 3. What they learned from season 3 will shape the future of the game. Because clearly, also though, the statistics say that season 3 was the best season ever, right? Statistics say the most players ever loaded up the game to play season 3. I
wouldn't assume that means that everything about it was
right. Amazing. Because it then dropped off, right?
Exactly, it dropped off, and there's still a lot of buzz around the subreddit and a lot of positive response to from the devs in response to requests for things like perks and overclock. So it's not what I mean by that is not every aspect of season 3 is going to be taken. Oh, this is the right way to go because obviously the grenades. People want other things other than grenades. That's clear.
Yeah, you notice that people are still talking about the new guns, right? They're still that's still a conversation feature. No one's fucking talking about the new grenades. No one gives a shit about the new grenades. It's immediately they've just fallen into the other grenades in not worth talking about, really. At least discussing about. You could say the grenades are all right. These grenades are better than the other grenades. Yeah, these other grenades are basically throw picks. But that's as far as you really need to go into for grenades. They're not important enough to dedicate entire videos based on singular overclocks. For the guns, which obviously is what you want to do, but it's just not worth going into anything close to that on the grenades because there isn't anything that much to the grenades. And yeah, we learnt that going into season 3, and I realise now I insulted your Overclock Workshop idea of the grenades, but to be honest, I've never agreed with that in the first place. So tough.
Well, don't worry because about that. I just don't think we can necessarily. It's not really a good idea for you to be there, is it? Let's be honest.
No,
I realise we can be honest with ourselves about that, and I think the obviously if you want to be, I'll let you anytime. But it's actually been quite easy for those ones, and that's because it's not like you're left out for any other reason than it's only my ideas that are there. And it's
only your ideas are there. I don't believe in the subject matter in the first place, right? So instead of critiquing it and me trying to make it the best it can be, it's me saying if they did this, which I don't want them to, then whatever I say, it's just it's a bit it's not as fluid as the Overclock Workshop for many reasons. Yeah, I don't really belong there, in all fairness. And then, arguably, if you
But
do your
also
videos,
done, but you've done like the biggest like other workshop videos that are just like miscellaneous things. Like,
yeah, I mean, if I
especially the
you know,
season theme stuff.
if you want to do your videos like Tuesday, I'll try and do my videos Monday, and then it will kind of equal out, really, wouldn't it? Like,
It's actually
me
not a bad
being
idea
there
if we
Tuesday.
it's actually probably better for us if we actually try and like have a little bit of our own thing on those days.
Yeah.
Obviously, the podcast on Saturday is always going to be shared. The stream's always be shared, but yeah, that actually makes a lot more sense when you think about it, and we just haven't thought about it until just now.
It's because of your new college schedule. It basically, like, Monday is no longer an option for you.
And yeah, it also
And
made
Tuesday
it
is
made trying to
inconvenient.
record the workshop way more awkward, and they were already kind of more awkward because of what they were about.
Yeah, and it just became not worth it in the end. And I was around when you were recording your weapon one, but you just didn't want to record it with us.
No, those go weirdly because I would like you to be in the missions, but yeah, I would. But it's like a case of me like coming back, be like, Tyler, do you want to come and join now? I've done the talking part. I've done which I would if you want me to. If you want to be part of the mission.
Well, I was there, but I think I then wasn't there. I went and did something else, I think.
Yeah, and it would still work with how I do it because I pause in between like combat for most of it. I just do it, but that's like fine. That's not like pausing the game. That's like pausing the recording. I don't actually need to pause the game necessarily. So it can still be done in multiplayer. Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, we've just done another massive rant. Although actually, it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as like. It hasn't been as depressing as that one.
I have not lost my optimist spirit that
what?
They are.
You're what?
They are. The one where I thought maybe they actually aren't fucking around and have no idea what they're doing. Maybe they are thinking of the future when they aren't working on season. Because it was like they're not working on season 4 because they're dumb as fuck and they think that holidays are equal to the same amount of content as a season.
But I think
but like that is now flipped to they are prioritizing holidays, so now they can get away with working on longer seasons because they're never going to be short. Like I think it was coming to terms with the fact that seasons are going to be 6 months apart.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fact. That is where it's going to be from now on. They are never going to make it less than that.
It's possibly a false belief of mine that they will, and I mean, I think it would actually be really bad for them if they don't get this right. But I think they're just going to. I think they're also going to force that because, like you think season 4 might be fairly small, and I guess I have to agree because.
I don't know how they do anything big at this point.
Exactly.
If they do something big, I would be very impressed.
I would love it to be. I would love it to be big. Actually, that would just fill me with so much joy. But I just don't know if that's going to happen.
That would cement my point that what took them so long to make season 3 was all the new mechanics, and once they have it there, they can make seasons pretty quick. Like if they make like a game mode that uses the mechanics they introduced in season 3 and all the enemies and all that stuff, like if they do some giant fuck off amount of content using the mechanics of season 3, then that will prove to me that it was making them in the first place which took it so long.
I'm saying
which also proves to me that season 2s would be, or part 2s would be the best idea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, realistically,
the only reason I don't like that is because that means like the same theme for a year every time. But the main problem with us not knowing anything about season 4 yet still is that it just doesn't answer the question. Like, we know that seasons are going to be like at least 6 months, but do they know that they can't go over that either? I think they probably do.
As they mentioned, they have always been 4 to 6 months, and they have never technically broken that. The issue is that they've also only ever been 6. So, and this was a point I got to in that Reddit post that went really terribly, is that they are only ever reaching 6 months for seasons, yet they're pretending that they could reach 4. And I think they know, we know, that it ain't going to be 4. This time round, it ain't going to be 4, because 4 is in February, right? Their anniversary date, which is when they're going to give us the roadmap as to when season 4 is. Woo! So they are going to be telling us that they know what they're doing for season 4 in the point where they should, or they have said
but
they could release
okay, hold on.
Realistically,
4. That's not realistically unreasonable for information to be dropped, close to something's release. But that's not necessarily going to be like particularly close.
The thing is, though, is that like if it actually turns out that they've been secretly working on it this whole fucking time, and they start the teaser time during February, they're still not going to release until earliest 5 months, right? Earliest March, is it after thing? Like
February,
yeah. Like, so wait, 5 months. So 6 months is April then. Does that make sense? No, then.
No,
What?
you dimwit. Hold on. Oh yeah, baby. What? 5? Okay. No. Okay, November to December is 1 month, right? Obviously, so that's
Yeah.
okay.
Started at the very beginning.
So November, December 1, January 2, February 3. There you go. Because obviously we're about to hit February, and then it would have been 3 months in season 3.
Yeah.
And then 5 months be April. It probably and like see it's going to be the same as last year. It'll be end of April, or early May, which would because if it is late April, that would be less than 6 months. Like it'd be like just under 6 months.
Yeah. So
I want them to
technically,
not break that either way, kind of basically.
if anniversary is the beginning of the season, teaser season, we'll say. Just fucking, yeah, if it's the beginning of like the about month long time where they're teasing, and then the two weeks of beta testing, we would then be able to expect season 4 in like April, right? So like if anniversary, if anniversary, which as far as we're aware is when they're releasing the roadmap for the season, so the earliest bit of news we get, if it's from that point onwards is the final stage of season coming out soon, we will get it in 5 months.
I think it will. I get the feeling that anniversary will probably double as like an announcement, but also the final stretch. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, this is like season 4 is like 10 months off. It's be like, oh no, it's in like 2 or 3 months, guys. Don't worry. I'm going to start teasing it like now. Yeah. I think things will kick off the anniversary. I hope it's not like complete radio silence until then. But I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Is that like the point is best case scenario is late 5 months. It is never going to be 4 months.
Unless it is.
It's never.
It won't be.
Yeah, but
until it is, it won't be.
Yeah, but my point is that every pretend 4 months is going to make that 6 months so much worse. It's just going to make it worse. That was the point of the post. Is that like we are going to get 5 to 6. So far, we've only gotten 7, 6, 6. Right? That's how it's worked so far. Which we can ignore the 7 because fair enough. They had to add seasons as a thing. That's probably what the extra time took. But from then, it's been 6 months, 6 months. So far, we have only the reason to believe it's 6 months.
So hold on, because I just said something about. I hope it's not radio silence till the anniversary, but I don't see why it wouldn't be. But I'm looking at the old Steam posts like just before the last anniversary. Now, this was actually, it was mostly to do with the board game, but it was in that same post was like they talked about the 4th year anniversary and like gave a status update on season 2, and that was on February 1st. So we could see a news post when like the Lunar Festival ends. Like, maybe. I'm just saying, I don't know if it would be good if there was nothing.
We know we're getting roadmap anniversary event. That's all I know, and that roadmap is the first bit of news we get before season's thing. But normally roadmaps are really early, but clearly that isn't the case. So I don't know. The point is that like we, as it seems, as they made it look now, we are never going to get a 4 months, and even if eventually one day we just might get a 4 months, all of the 5 to 6, likely just 6 months seasons before then will feel so much worse. Because every 6 month will be hidden behind a 4 month faith. That we're like, okay, maybe this one will only be 4 months. Please, let this one just be 4 months. Let's try and get it earlier.
I don't think I ever thought
and then it'll end up being
happen.
6. Sure, they are making us think it though. 4 to 6. They are constantly saying 4 to 6 months, 4 to 6 months, 4 to 6 months. It's a fucking lie.
It's not constant though, unfortunately, because it's just too infrequent to be constant because there's so little actual examples of that. It's just that it hasn't changed. It doesn't happen often.
They're asked how often they think they're going to make the seasons, when they think they're going to make seasons, it's 4 to 6
when did
months.
That last happen?
That's their answer. I don't know, probably in streams, dude.
Yeah.
Like probably whenever anyone asks them in there, whenever they like make a statement, like 4 to 6 months. That's just that's like their.
So do you really think you're going to be able to do that?
That's their current, like, most recent open standpoint on that. And as long as that's the case, then that's always what it is, right? A company's standpoint on that, until changed, is that.
And here's the thing.
And so,
even after they've done all of those holiday events, got them like sold up, to the eyeballs.
Yeah.
They finished with them. I don't know if I want them to do 4-month seasons. I think I spend all the time on bigger.
I just want
updates.
6 months. I just want 6 month seasons to be 6 months worth of work, or 5 months, instead of what it is like. It's about 4 months down to 3 months with the events actually being worked on. As mentioned, right? They are, as far as we're aware, starting like around now.
Well, you said that last week, so I feel like
Exactly.
they have been working
still
on
around
seasons.
now, Harry. They have said they still do not know what they're working on season 4 last week. Last week on their stream, they said, we do not know what we're doing for season 4 yet. That's what they said.
It just doesn't sound real.
Yeah, but it
might not be. It might not be.
Why would they lie about that? That is nothing but bad. Why would they lie to make it seem like they have less of an idea what's going on and less focus for season 4?
Well, no, I mean, no, hold on, stop. It's a stretch. Right, it's fine, it's a stretch. But it's like, it could be like a bad wording of like, we're not going to tell you.
Yeah, but that's dumb, because they could just say, we don't tell you. But also, it makes sense. They spent all of November patching and sorting out season 3, then probably late November, December working on the Christmas one, and then January working on Lunar New Year, and apparently also the anniversary event. That's what they spent all their time working on. And they probably were talking about season 4 and getting all that ready, but they also don't seem to know yet. So they could have only have just started working on it properly, knowing what they're doing somewhat recently.
But I don't think that's even necessarily an issue, because all I've gotten recently is the impression that producing cosmetics isn't even like a problem, like in the slightest. I've gotten that impression recently, especially because how long like ago certain things were in place, like certain concept art, even certain fully rendered models, and how much of those, you've got those anniversary frameworks in the game so long before they're meant to be added. I don't think cosmetics are a problem at all, and I think when it comes to like planning and implementing actual content, I think they've got enough time to do something good, just good. So I'm not too concerned.
Sure, but I'm saying that like this year, it doesn't look like it's going to be particularly anything special.
It doesn't look like anything yet.
They haven't been able to work on the season yet because of all the holiday stuff, which is why this even though it's going to be around 6 months, maybe earliest 5 months, maybe God forbid late 7 months, it's not going to be that amount of time's work put into it. Meanwhile, next year, once they have all the holiday events done, jazzed up, modernized, in-game double XP event, they will then be able to spend a time said 4 to 6 months or 4 to 7 months, whatever, however much time it takes is how much time it took. Not that they got distracted for like a month or two working on holiday events. And other than the month break during the summer holiday, and the week off during the thing. Point is and patching otherwise. Point is, it's just I don't know. It's just I like talking about the potential future state of the game, not the current one that it's in. Which I know is because currently, as people really like to point out, the game is doing amazing. Its numbers are the highest, player retention's the best it's ever been, and it's true. But I don't know how long that's going to last if they keep up the way they're going.
Yeah, I don't mean to be a hard bastard or anything.
Happy.
I don't mean to be like, I'm going to have to be the hard bastard, whatever that means, if that's even a phrase. But unfortunately, a roadmap 2 months into a year is it isn't good, and no one should think that's okay. Unfortunately,
a roadmap 4 months into a season that is supposed to end around 4 to 6 months in. That is, if any other game did that, they would be hung. If Overwatch tried to pull anything like that, they would be hung. If anyone that wasn't like biblicized by the community tried doing that, they would be hung. Like it's just the fact that Fellowship has such good...
When it comes to planning future content for any game, I feel like anything like right at the beginning of the year is justified. As in, there should always be something like you can't like wait for your first actual update on like future content to be 2 months in. That is subjectively too late, unfortunately. And
the issue is with the way Ghost Ship goes about it is they are open in that regard, at least. In that, with some other companies, it would have been that like, we just want to tell you, we don't want to tell you that. Like they'll lie to say that we don't want to tell you that or that we're secrets. But Ghost Ship was open enough to say we don't know yet. We don't know yet. 2 months into this season, or going on to 3 months into this season, we do not know yet. That's their response. And it's kind of a bad look.
By the way, Tyler, I should point out that doesn't mean they're not working on it. By the way, even if they don't know exactly what they're doing, right? Because they're always doing something. Remember that?
Yeah,
it feels like it doesn't feel
they
true.
are doing something, Harry. They're working on the holiday events. How many times do I have to say this? That is what they're doing in that content? Time.
They've done everything. It's all done.
Yeah, now they have started working on it. That's what I'm saying.
When was that not done? It feels like the anniversary's been done like since the beginning of the year. It feels like.
Well, it's been a while now, about like probably 15 days or something, right, since the leaks came out. But like, they were probably working on it through December. They did not even November, December. They did not at any point in time work on season 4 for like sure.
November,
there is no way. But yeah, obviously, but December, no way. And January, you could argue at some point during January they started working on what actual content they would add.
Well, that's what I mean. Like their words possibly being misleading when they say they don't know yet. That might just be that they don't know like the theme.
Well, they didn't know at the bare minimum.
Well, no, if they're making perks overclocks, they could be doing that. You know.
Yeah, but they didn't know. That would be the bit that they don't know what they're doing, right? Because that's the only thing that the roadmap tells us. That's the only bit of information they need to give us on the roadmap.
If we're assuming that season 4 is going to come out at the same time season 2 did last year, the roadmap has to give us more information than that.
Well, the roadmap will likely be met alongside the.
Exactly. We'll know. Yeah, we'll know. Exactly. We will know more from.
If we do not get the title during the anniversary event, we should expect that the season will be later than last year. That is a reasonable assumption to make.
It's also a really, really bad idea because no matter what, it should come out then. No matter what, doesn't matter what's in it. Doesn't matter. It should come out then. It can't take longer than 6 months. It doesn't matter what's in it.
All they need at that point to do that, literally, to anniversary event, all they need going into it to do that is know if they're doing a part 2 or they're doing a new thing and what that thing is, right? If they're deciding that fuck it, Hoxies is fighting back, they just need to make up a title for that, right? That's all they need to know to do that bit, and what equipment they're adding, overclocks, perks, something else, God forbid. That is all they need to know for the anniversary event to do that. They don't even need to start following it up with teasers immediately if they know that they aren't going to be able to do it anytime soon. But just it is literally bare minimum information for them to give us the title name and the equipment they're adding. That's it. Bare minimum amount of information. Nothing needs to be made yet for them to even give us that information.
Anyway, I feel like obviously we actually got on a little bit more optimistic since like the very beginning of the year, and as much as I do enjoy these conversations, I think we're at a point where we shouldn't touch on this until we actually know something.
I know it's regurgitating shit, and it's just it's not good. We need to actually stop, and that's it. We're stopping. We're done. Right. thank you for watching.
Hold on.
I think we had
Thank you
like
for
3
watching.
different parts at this point.
What do you mean 3 different what?
Like we had 3 different segments. The first segment was the topic of the podcast. The second segment was I don't remember anymore, and then the third segment was the old Barrel Vision special, complaining about seasons and holiday events.
The weekly scheduled ribbing. And Tom, look at him. Look at this fucker.
Are you still here, Tom? Say hello to everyone at home.
Say hello,
goodbye,
Jesus.
actually.
Say goodbye.
Yeah, that
Say
probably be more
goodbye.
apt. Yes. Say your prayers, punk.
Say your prayers,
Bang.
little one. Get my son. Anyway.
Rock and Stone, like and subscribe.
Why was I born? To hit that bell.
Yeah. Actually, I realize now that with this new format, the fact that I'm gone next Tuesday and Wednesday and Sunday, but doesn't matter at all anymore. Especially since
Exactly.
So cool.
It's just so many reasons why I should just take. No, not.
Yeah.
You made me take over.
I didn't make you take over.
You did.
I just took a step back. And you kept stepping forward.
You were about no. I don't mind saying this. When Tyler changed the channel name to like at first, but like when it wasn't just his like account name, he changed it to Baron Barrel. I was like, "Oh, this is fucking gay." Because I never wanted a YouTube channel to myself.
It was like Cursed Cats, which is like my online name, and then it was like Cursed Cats and Baron Barrel because you made it clear that you clearly were interested in this as well. And then for like an afternoon, I removed my name, and then it turned into Barrel Vision. Then this whole thing.
It didn't. It turned into Barrel Vision after the podcast started.
Yeah,
because we actually named the channel after the podcast instead of the other way around. Because I didn't want it to be called Baron Barrel because it's not just me. And then, but people do that where they just name a podcast after the channel. It's like our name podcast.
Yeah, but it's also just like Baron Barrel,
which I think is pretty interesting.
Cats was just a shitty fucking name, and Baron Barrel was just a better name to have for the channel. And then Barrel Vision came along, and we were like, "Oh hell yeah!"
It's good. I like the name. I did like the name. The thing I like about it the most, actually, I don't even particularly like the sort of branding that I've forced us into. Which was born out of a university project, mind you. I just came up with that on the fly for what that should look like, and then it just got like translated onto. And do you know about that guy, that other default YouTuber called Pocket Barrels? And he's actually got like over 1,000 subs, and he gets like thousands of views in every video. And his logo is very similar to ours.
Oh.
And it's called Pocket Barrel. Anyway, he seems weird. I don't know what he does exactly. I think he does like skits. But he did one where he it was like playing as Mission Control, where it was like him and someone else. They were like dressed up as Mission Control, and they had like voice lines made like AI voice lines, and it was like it was two Mission Controls talking to each other. And it was actually really funny. So I recommend that video. I also recommend all of our old videos. I also recommend that we end this. And
yes.
All the times we said thank you for liking and subscribing, because you've already done that, I know.
Yeah, you're not this far if you're not already subscribed, and if you aren't subscribed, then you should probably do that, because once again, if you've gotten this far in, clearly you'll like our other content and or us generally.
God. Oh my god! So, if you've gotten this far, if you like the last hour, you should subscribe right now.
Yeah, because the last hour, I do not like that part of our content. It keeps occurring, but I don't like us shitting on the game. But if you can manage to like that, then you'll definitely like all the rest of our content.
I would like to see someone actually be like, "Oh yes, I love this part of the show."
Yeah. It's just I don't know.
Monkey would say it just because we told him to.
Yeah, he's a little simp.
A simp, a simian. We shouldn't call him that. We shouldn't mean to Monkey. That fucking suck up.
Oh no! Actually, this is a test. All right, this is a test.
Monkey, if you're listening, comment.
Yeah.
No, hold on. We're actually give him something that he has to comment, right?
let's do this for everyone, not just Monkey. If you are listening to this
Just make
bit
it really
right
easy
here,
though. Like it can't be any effort. Just type like I don't know. RS.
Batman.
What?
Batman Boris. That's it. If you type with no other nothing else, just type Batman Boris and have it make no sense to anyone that has watched to this point.
That's amazing. That's gonna become a thing. Like,
and
cool sign. Batman Boris.
And,
Where did you get that from?
Well, you said Boris, and I said Batman because I'm looking at my Batman
I said
card.
RS.
Oh, never
As
mind
in
then.
Rock and Stone.
Then that occurs. So yeah, Batman Boris. Just comment that, no other thing, and I will like it like I normally do. You probably noticed that, but
also pin it.
maybe
We'll pin every single one.
We'll pin all of them, and yeah. Actually, no, we'll pin the first one. The first one to do Batman Boris, because everyone else might start copying it if they see it gets pinned. And by everyone else, I mean like the 5 or 6 other people that actually comment on videos. Because it's not really a thing that everyone does. I certainly don't.
I don't comment on anything.
Yeah, like comments. I don't know. It takes a certain type of person to comment.
A certain type of loser.
No, don't say that about our most avid fan base. Fan base sounds weird.
It does sound so weird. I don't like that.
I don't think they'd consider themselves our fans. Just,
some of them would.
Our enjoyers,
that
maybe.
That guy, Dankshine, he said that is his favourite rock channel.
That's you. That's just you.
No.
You're Dankshine.
No.
Do not be deceived.
No, it's not me. It's someone else.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for watching. Please leave now and write Batman Boris.
Batman Boris.
And I'll be sure to forget I said this. So when I see the comments like tomorrow or tonight, I'll be very confused as to why there are Batman Boris in the comments.